Hello everybody, I am live on TikTok and this video will be going up. Hello everybody, I am live on TikTok and this video will be going up on YouTube. I'm back to talk about the power of now. I'm laughing because the last video I did was November 9th, I think, and it was part 1 for the power of now, and it is taking me about a month later to get back to the rest of it. Now, it has been a while since I was talking about the power of now. So I don't remember where we left off in part 1. That being said, I'm going to read to you guys just what I'm covering in total with this entire series. Hello, everybody, as you pop in. But I'm going to cover the things that we'll be going over. And then I'm going to kind of tell you where we're going to start and why. So the power of now. And obviously, everybody on YouTube, bear with me. Occasionally, I will have to readdress the TikTok audience because, you know, as people fill in and file in, I have to constantly remind people what we're doing. So that being said, hello, welcome to the Midnight Scholar Society. I'm Francina Simone, the founder of the Midnight Scholar Society, where we do deep psychology. We talk about media literacy and also creative thinking. And in that, there's a lot of spirituality that goes on between these walls. I was going to say my walls, but that sounds wow. But anyways, there's a lot of spirituality that goes on, a lot of astrology, a lot of practical magic. And a lot of this is metaphysical stuff. If you want to talk about it from the science bend, we do a lot of quantum mechanics, and we talk about quantum an awful lot, and how to quantum leap, how to do clean leaps, you know, how to recognize when you are materializing things into your reality, because the whole thing and everything that I refer to myself as an alchemist, but what that means to people in different industries and spaces and places is something different. So, you know, I'm constantly having to remind people that, you know, some people just think of me as like a creative innovator or something, and other people an astrologist, and other people a spiritual, like, you know, like teacher. I talk about spirituality and teach spiritual text and sacred text and mythology and lore. Some people know me as a literary academic. You know what I mean? A lot of what I do is grounded in what you normally would find when you're in the humanities and you go deep into anthropology, but from an English standpoint. And for those of you from the Western space, so, you know, I teach a lot of not Gothic, but yes, Gothic, Romantic, and Greek literature and vantage points, but I also do a lot of mythology and lore outside of the Western space and stuff like that. So, so for the most part, over the Midnight Scholar Society, we do an awful lot. We look at life from 1,000 different vantage points and viewpoints to really be able to alchemize and understand what energy is and how we're working with it. And so a huge part of that, though, is being present. And I'm doing this in real time. I'm laughing because, like, you know, in my line of work, everything is in real time, but also like teaching people history and essentially doing like speed courses and flash courses in anthropology and how that relates to you now and today, to people that I, you know, reach all over the world is kind of a wild thing to really comprehend as a person. So I laugh all the time because I'm doing something that is wildly insane as a day job, but also something that's incredibly important. So let's get to the important parts. I have been doing a series on the power of now because being present and being able to ground into reality is such an important thing these days, especially astrology-wise. Pluto has moved into Aquarius, and that frequency of shift that changes the way we're experiencing the world, the kind of information that we get, how we get information, the way that our body synthesizes with information. Like, you know, it is to a non-believer of anything, they usually need some type of spectacular example of quote unquote God, right? The universe, right? So somebody who does not believe in something that is bigger than themselves needs the spectacular. And so look around, ladies and gentlemen. Luigi Mangione, climate change, fascism at your door. You know, spectacular things are happening around the world right now. I'm laughing because the witches and the spiritual side of things, they're cackling because, you know, they've been saying, you know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You know, that the spectacular, or I should say a lot of the spiritualists are kind of, you know, they've tossed up their hands, so to speak. A lot of people have been saying they feel like these times in America, the adults have left the room and all the kids are like, now they're waiting for the adults to come back and to stop the crazy stuff that's happening. But the adults never actually left. They're just watching. And that's the spiritualist. They're just watching everything bad happen. often because, as a hermetic, as anybody who is deep into these intellectual spaces, but actually the application of it, right? They recognize that everything you do has impact. One, and two, sometimes people have to learn that spectacular isn't always beautiful. Miracles are also horrendous. You know what I'm saying? That there is beauty in ugly, and that is the art is life is art kind of, circle that we talk about in the artist spaces and the humanitarian spaces when we're looking at art and history and culture, that, all artists do is capture the beauty in ugly. And, that's the nihilist speaking. That's all they do is capture the beauty in ugly. I mean, but like also ugly is beautiful, and also beautiful is beautiful, and some ugly is just ugly. I'm just kidding. As a Venetian, I feel that way. But, I feel like I have to accept all as a Venetian. But, sometimes ugly is just ugly. But the point that I'm making is that, being present and being able to ground yourself into this new shifting kind of energy is super fucking important. And so The Power of Now is a huge book that I think everybody should read. I've read it. I gave it a listen after my partner introduced it to me. For the most part, I had known about it in the present space, and it was on my to read list. But my reading list is always super long, so I wait. I'm sure the universe is sick and tired of me half the time. I will ask ChatGPT for a new reading list for something every 5 minutes. And even the AI is like, bitch, read the ones we already suggested. And I'm like, excuse me, I like to wait until I'm inspired. And, the AI is like, I am going to inspire you to read the same fucking book 15 times because you keep asking me the same question. I even get on the AI's nerves. So anyways, I always tell people, don't buddy read with me. I'm a horrendous buddy reader. But my partner had recommended it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, since, I'm going to throw that up at the top of my to-do list. We were on a plane ride, and I listened to this book in the air on the way to Mexico. It was a great way to pass the time, I'll tell you that much, because I was suffering. I suffer on planes all the time, so I was using this book as a way to be like, I'm not breathing in the same air as everybody else right now. I'm not hearing this. I'm not literally feeling my sinuses dry up as we speak. I am a complainer when I fly, but I complain on the inside. I don't like to give that out to everybody else. So I have everything that I always need to be comfortable, but it's never comfortable, That being said, also, I never want to use the bathroom when I'm on the plane. Oh, that gives me, I'm just like, I die on the inside. I die and I come back all wilted in my chair. International flights suck. Oh my God. Anyways, okay, I'm going to get off that train. I don't need misery loves company, right? But I was listening to it on the plane, and it really did help. I didn't go through any of that. Funny enough, I didn't go through any of that. The only thing I remember about that plane ride is this bright light. There's something about the way I was listening to the book also. But there's something, I think I even went into a deep meditation at one point in time, and I was just in the book, and it felt like I was with Eckhart Tolle for a little bit, and we were both just sitting, staring at this bright light on the horizon. And he's just, talking about all of these different concepts and these things. And I was like, gee, thanks, I did think, what a twat. No offense to him. I love Eckhart Tolle. I'm not, as a being to a being. But he said in his story, the reason why he found presence one day is he was working an office job and he didn't like it. And one day he woke up and he was just so upset about having to do this thing that he exploded in emotion, I guess, about it. And then he woke up the next morning and he didn't care. And he was present in the moment. A pen was a pen. This was this. And from that moment on, he just really became super grateful for reality and connecting with what presence is, this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, some people crash into the ground and that's how they become present. He woke up and was like, huh. And, and so, the only issue that I have with Eckhart Tolle is I feel too much seen in that statement. I feel like I came to presence in a very, my mother used to joke when I was a baby in a crib. She'd just walk, I'd be napping, and then she'd all of a sudden be overcome with panic, fear, and she'd just run into the room because she was sure I was dead because she hadn't heard from me. And I'd just be there looking at things quietly. And she's like, and you're just there, just contemplating life. What the fuck? And so, I feel so seen in that, it was effortless. So ways. And I'm like, wow, what an asshole to like reach enlightenment that easily. And, you know, I think I love Eckhart Tolle, and I saw myself there, and I was like, she's annoying. And I had a bit of self, you know, I scared myself, you know, I was like, God damn, is that what it looks like? You know, which is why I'm always so I grew up deathly afraid of telling people about presence and in this, that, and the other, because, you know, you realize that not everybody's experiencing it. And like, you know, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't tell people while they're like deep in misery right now to be grateful for X, Y, and Z. People are like, you positive Pollyanna bitch, get out of here. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, that's always been kind of my attitude, is like, but the reason why I'm also an optimist is because I'm a realist. And that's the thing about Eckhart Tolle, is he shows you, no, it's not optimism, it's realism. We are actually realist, meaning that we see all of the positive aspects of things and the negative aspects of things. Like, I am not blind. You know, I'm Pollyanna because I choose to be. And that's kind of the thing, is I grew up seeing everything for what it was, and then I got to choose how to experience it. And I've noticed that that's been such a very strange thing, that I wasn't supposed to tell people I was doing that, because it befuddled people, it confused them, it makes some people angry, it makes some people deeply sad, it makes some people really regret and hate themselves in life, and all sorts of fucked up shit when you go, yeah, I just look at what's real and I choose the part I want to enjoy. You know, I choose the way I want to experience it, and that has impact, and it compounds into really great energy. I don't know, like, it's, you know, I also didn't have the words to say that at fucking 4. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, you grow up learning that people experience presence or don't experience it in a lot of different ways. And Eckhart Tolle really brings home the fact that being present and also seemingly optimistic is more of an act of realism than most people's, cynicism or delusions and this, that, and the other, because we are being present. We are dealing with what is in front of us. So this is the true alchemy of the world, of how you take your imagination, what you'd like to manifest, and manifest it into reality. Is you accept reality for what it is. You look at your manifestation and you accept that for what it is, and then you allow both of those things to play out by choosing in the moment which you wish to experience. And yeah, life from there is a piece of cake. So the 10 things that we'll cover overall and between these two, I recommend go watch part 1. I don't know where I left off in part 1. Y'all will either get to know me, or most of y'all know me by now. I am literally I live in the moment. I just explained to you that I live in the moment. And that means that most of the time I do not give a fuck about what I said last Tuesday. People quote me all the time. I've been, I guess, like internet famous since like 2016. And by internet famous, I just mean like people recognize me on the street sometimes. Like, oh, this happened to me in California. It rarely happens to me. But when it did, it happened to me in California not so long ago. And I was just like, hi. I was like, no, I need to hide, you know? When I was a kid, I used to be just famous in general. I don't know. I was always places, and I know people and whatever. So anytime I was I lived in a city, Orlando, but anytime I left my house, like with my family, and we went somewhere, and even somewhere strange, I would always see somebody that I'd know. And I'd be like, well, God damn, you know, teaches you to dress nice. It teaches you not to to be aware of your surroundings, you know, because at any moment in time, it was like, fuck yeah, somebody is watching me. Like, damn, bitch, I didn't, how are you here? I'm literally in a different state. How am I meeting you? All of a sudden, I'm in a different state. Yeah. So, you know, presence, it's nice to be aware of your surroundings, but also it teaches you the type of impact that you have on others and stuff like that. So let's talk about so all that to say, I'm starting in the middle of this. I have no idea where I was last time, and that's just how I live my life. So y'all just have to take that for what it is, and just hope that I make up for it in the end. I always do. So anyways, the 10 things we're going to cover: understanding the now, that was covered last video; the ego and the pain body, that was definitely covered last video; observing the mind without judgment, I believe that was covered last video. I will give like a briefing of that, and then we're going to get into embracing stillness as the gateway to the divine. Lovely. 5, the role of acceptance and transformation. Also, pausing to say this. This is not a review of the book. I kind of gave you a review of the book. I'm going to talk about concepts from the book. So please go read the actual book. Do not think I am a substitute, because I'm not. I'm a teacher of a different variety and a different mind. So I am talking to you about the concepts here as I see them fit, if that makes sense. So it is, I tell people this all the time, and I literally have smacked people and said, gotcha, bitch, because I say it every single time. Do not take my words and use them as your own. Please, always active in critical thinking. That is just not something that I can allow in my presence. I fuck people up all the time. I do not do critical thinking is super fucking important. That's like half of, if not like 90% of being self-aware, and being self-aware, you have to be a critical thinker. So the power of now, Asase speaks. That's the book that I'm covering. So the power of now, I'll mention it 1,000 times as we go. So yes, please do read it. It's the book you want to listen to. It's the book you want to read. Eckhart Tolle does an amazing job at giving you that theory of mind. And one thing that I'm always kind of preaching over here is a theory of mind. Whenever you're learning something new, as an I do this all the time. Sorry, the teacher always comes out. Even at book club, fuck. But anyways, it's important to have a theory of mind when you're learning something new. You are new at this, so you want someone to introduce you into this world and give you the layout of the world in ways and in terms that kind of resonate with you. And sometimes they're going to be ways and terms that are more complicated than what you're used to understanding or experiencing, and that's okay. Please listen to the book. If you love auditory, if you're someone who needs to read the physical text because you need to interact with it in a tactile way, please read the book that way. There will be things that will be uncomfortable. There will be things that challenge your viewpoint. There will be things that are very difficult for you to comprehend and understand. That is the nature of learning something new. So please do go read the book. Also, when you have done and you've read the book and you've got tons of questions, come listen to these videos and see if I answer any of those questions. If you have more questions beyond that, you can always put a question anywhere in a video that I have. I mean, I hate to say it like that because sometimes if you leave a random fucking question on a video, I might just be confused and go, oh, skip, because that's what I do when I'm confused. I skip. But leave a question on the YouTube videos and I will answer all of those there as best as I can. I'll go through them whenever I see them. So please use the YouTube video when it's up there. Or if you're watching on YouTube, please leave your questions down below and I will make TikToks of those. I'll definitely post them in the Discord, etc., etc. So newsletter, Discord, all of that kind of stuff. Midnight Scholar Society, link in bio, wherever you are listening to this from, for more of that kind of like to be able to get those questions answered. And also people on TikTok, I will, as best as I can, get to any questions that you have, but I am filming this for YouTube. So it'll be like a back and forth. So we talked about the first 5 things. Embracing stillness is gateway to the divine is 4. The role of acceptance and transformation is 5. 4 other things that we will cover maybe in this video or next: letting go of the illusion of time, using the body as an anchor for presence, freedom from future anxiety and past regrets, the joy. I could never do this in one video. Oh my God. What was I thinking? The joy of being and true happiness and consciousness manifesting through presence. So that's a mouthful and that's a lot. I'm probably today going to talk about embracing stillness as a gateway to the divine, the role of acceptance and transformation, and we may get to letting go of the illusion of time. So we may cover these 3 things. Using the body as an anchor for presence is so important. So I might try to get to that to some degree or allude to it as we go. But, sometimes these things go really long, and 4 hours is already long enough. And if I tried to get through all of this, that'd be crazy. So I might as well just make videos. Also, for those of you tuning in on TikTok, please do... tried reading it earlier. It felt really hard to read. We'll go again. Yeah. I'll talk about that a little bit. So please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I don't know if TikTok's going to be here or not, but you can always find me on YouTube. I've literally lived on YouTube since like 2016 for the most part. I'm just really, y'all see how I am about making content. I do it when I feel like it. And I also do it when I feel pretty like, when it comes up in my mind and I have something to say and I don't know when that is. So don't expect like a schedule. That's just not me. I've tried. Oh, I tried. I tried. but it's just not me. So, yeah, you'll catch me when you catch me. But stuff is always up, and stuff will be up on YouTube. Also, my newsletter, they go as podcasts, so you can always catch stuff on Spotify. Especially if you like to listen to stuff like that. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into embracing stillness as the gateway to the divine. So the concept here is what is stillness, right? Okay, I have notes and I was going to look at those and try to read those, but notes, I never go by notes. Okay, so first I'm going to show you what stillness looks like so you can understand why it is the gateway to embracing the divine. So watch what I do when I'm still. Also, I wish you guys could hear the song I was listening to. Well, I'm breaking the stillness, but to talk about this song. It's called Paradise, and there's this like little 8-year-old boy or something like that in the UK singing. He has such an angelic voice. So that to be playing while I'm embracing stillness is a gift. Two things happen. I was breathing and I was gifted something by the universe. My music is on shuffle. Why? And it just paused. Anyways, my music is on shuffle. Why? The moment when I'm on a live and filming a video with those two moments line up together. So what happens when you embrace stillness? When you breathe, first of all, air. Air is your connection to divinity, because divinity does not exist in material form, earth, and it does not exist in, it does exist in water form technically, but in a different state, right? Water can be air. It can also be solid, and it can also be, water can be so many things. I'm over here like, water's not divine, and water's like, bitch, I'm more than divine. I am cosmic. Water, it can exist in all those states. Funny enough. But anyways, but breathing, you're breathing in air and you're moving energy throughout your body. So that is the gateway to the divine, the air that you breathe. But notice the moment I started talking, I mentioned I broke my own stillness, right? I broke stillness because I'm talking, I'm not breathing, I'm expressing out. In, expressing out. What do I do when I'm in? I'm receiving. And when I go out, I'm expressing out. That is a divine act. Divine feminine in, divine masculine out. That in itself is divinity. So when you're in stillness, all you can be is divine. That's it. You're just breathing in and you're breathing out. That is the most divine thing you can do, is just to exist. Just to be, and it's a beautiful thing. But what happens when you just exist and you are, well, you get divine gifts. In that moment, it linked up that honestly, it was such an angelic, his voice, and it's called Paradise. And he talks about how his is covered in aurora borealis skies, and his musicality. I was shooketh. This little 9-year-old child has me like, in tears. I'm like, if you've listened to the telepathy podcast, telepathy tapes, by the way, it's all about nonverbal autistics and their ability to speak telepathically. But there's a place that they call the Hill, and on the Hill all these telepathics gather, and there is something beautiful about being able to communicate not only image but emotion. And he showed me his imaginary world. The little boy is singing, and in his singing he is expressing telepathically this image that he experiences, and I got to go to his paradise and just experience it and to see it, and it is deep with emotion, this, that, and the other. That's all he's communicating, all that through this pure angelic voice. And all that lined up randomly while I was on live and I'm teaching a class. And I just, at the moment, got to the part about stillness. A divine gift that only you can appreciate when you are still. You see? And also on that, I'm also expressing, I'm sharing information with you right now. So I took in something, and in a moment of stillness between you and I, there was enough time to pass in where this little angel brought a little gift. You guys didn't get to hear it. Sorry. I guess it was just for me. Anyways, I'm laughing because, how chosen of me now. But yeah, obviously I got this little, it was me who took in the stillness. So of course I get the gift. And wow, I experienced that. And that's just in creating stillness between me and, well, right now there's about 40 of you out there, right? So that's a decent sized class. Oh man, if it was a decent sized class, I felt like a high school teacher all of a sudden. I need at least 10 of you gone. I'm just kidding. You guys can stay. But no, the point that I'm making is that in creating that moment of stillness, not just with me, but with 40 something other people, I invited you into stillness. I asked you to watch what I was doing. So I had your attention. That level of a gift came in. Look what happens. It's a gateway. I opened the door and the universe said, here you go. Something so simplistic. Now, no crazy miracle had to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like a piece of lightning didn't have to come down and strike a fucking tree. You can just experience life as is. Miracles happen every day, all day. In fact, the miracle is all being here, being live. In this particular moment in time is a miracle. Do you know how hard it is to get 50 people in one room? We just passed by Christmas. I wonder how hard it was for people to get 5 people in the same room. You know what I mean? Oh my God. I'm laughing because I was like, oh, that was mean. And then I started choking on my tea and I was like, God damn it, karma. Yeah. As you guys can tell, and that's why I try not to be mean, because karma hits me instantly, honestly. That's the only thing that keeps me, like, smooth sailing, is, yeah, karma always hits me instantly. All I did was make a mean little joke, and they were like, you should know better, people are suffering. And it's like, listen, I know people are suffering, but my goodness. You know, how much are we the cause of our own suffering because we do not embrace stillness? And that's why, you know, even though I started choking, it wasn't that bad. You know, I'm like one of the, I know how to get away with a slap on the wrist comes the universe, but let me stop bragging. Anyways, okay, so embracing stillness is a gateway to the divine. Honestly, that was really it in a nutshell. I can go into the importance of it. I think most of you probably got the point, but to get in and to drill it in, why stillness is important is when you are not still, you do not know the difference between your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, versus someone else's thoughts, emotions, and actions. You may think that you know, but you were just telling yourself a story. And when we tell ourselves stories, we're not actually in reality, are we? We're not in stillness. We're somewhere else. We're in our thoughts, air energy, and we're in our emotions. Oftentimes. And sometimes you can also be in your inspiration in fire energy. Being elsewhere isn't always a negative thing. It can be a positive thing depending on whether your fire energy is inspiration and you're doing something that inspires and you aspire, or if it's passion through aggression where you're, plotting and scheming, making strategies, or doing X, Y, and Z for or against yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's about what you use your creative energy for or against. And anytime you use it against something, you are using it against yourself. So it is always better to use your energy for something. And always, people always say for the greater good. I'm like for my greater good, honestly, because if I'm good, everybody else is good. You know what I'm saying? If I'm good, you're good. If you're good, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? If we're good, we're good. When one of us is bad, all of us are bad. And, many people have to learn that lesson 1,000 different times, regardless of how many proverbs and metaphors there are. The weakest link in the chain is the strength of the chain. How many times do people have to learn this lesson that if one of us is not good, we are all bad. One bad apple does make a bad bunch, So if I'm good, you're good. If you're good, I'm good. Because if you're good, you can help me be good. If I'm good, I can help you be good. And, if I'm good and you're good, we're good. Also, if I'm good and you're not good, you know what good looks like, because I refuse to go bad and I'm going to stay good. And I'm going to back the fuck away if you're trying to convince me to go bad because you don't know that. You get the point that I'm making? One of us is going to be good. Either one of us is going to be good alone or we're both going to be good together. But either way, when we make that solid choice in ourselves to be what is good, that means I'm accountable. I'm responsible for myself. I have agency and autonomy. I am the safe one. I'm safe for myself. I know how to be safe by myself, with myself, which means I can be safe with others because I know when I don't feel that way and that I don't want to be around other people if I don't feel that way. Because I need to figure out why I don't feel that way. And so and then I'm going to go with myself and then I'm going to be good. So the point is that, when you have time for stillness, you can do all of that. You can get to a place of, I have integrity with myself. I'm good. It's meditation of some sort, right? You can achieve your divinity, stasis with yourself, divine stasis with yourself, the in and the out. And you can know that breathing in and out is not something that you think on or something that you force. Next time you don't know whether you're still or relaxed, what are you forcing? Anything you force is not divine. Breathing is effortless. It's something that you do even when you don't know you're doing it. So therefore, your living, the way that you express yourself in life when you are present, is effortless. Effortless, requires no effort. Meaning that anything that requires extra effort is requiring force. And if you're applying force to something, it should be for a very conscious reason. Presence. So that's the importance of embracing stillness and it being a gateway to the divine. I think all of that stuff is really the technical parts of it, right? Technically, why we want to be still, technically, why this, that, and the other. But the example I showed you and the exercise that I just showed you and how I got your attention to see all of that is literally all you need to really know. You know what I mean? It's like, do you need to know how your lungs move, or do you just need to let them do their thing? You know what I mean? Go in and out. You know what I'm saying? Let them do their thing. That being said, are there times where you want to apply force? Like if you go swimming, do you want your lungs doing their thing, or do you want to be like, let me take over the controls here, because I'm not trying to breathe in all of this ocean water. You know, I'm not trying to drown. So let me hold my breath, or let me take in a bigger breath than usual. See, conscious choice, because I'm about to go into water. You see what I'm saying? So it's about getting into that place where you're living your life the same way that you were living in your body. And the best way to do that is to connect your mind, where your life is built, your mind, into the body and aligning them up. And that's it. That's what we talk about when we're talking about like alignment and stuff like that. We're just aligning the life, who we are, all of that into the body, so that those two things line up. Now you are living effortlessly. When you go swimming, you make the conscious choice to hold your breath, which means you're going to take over and apply force to what it means for you to breathe. You know what I mean? Versus just, when you're just sitting there watching TV, you're not thinking about breathing at all. You're just watching TV. You know what I mean? So different activities require different things. And to be able to know and to be able to say, well, I'm at work right now. I'm about to go into a meeting and this meeting is really important. Do I need to apply force or do I need to relax? What the fuck? What's going on? Stillness. If you need to apply force, you'll know when and where. Just like you don't hold your breath when you're at the pool the entire fucking time. Just when you're about to go under the water. And only for a specific period of time. And when do you think about that? When you're planning on what to wear, or when you're in the water about to go under. So we're going to be in stillness the entire time. Get into the meeting, be in stillness until we are met with some type of energy and we wish to respond in return. That's the conscious choice. But only that can be done in the moment. You can only think about that in the moment. You can only be in that in the moment. Until then, you're just up in the air doing crazy shit. You're not being still. So that's that. Let's move on to number 5, the role of acceptance and transformation. Okay, so I'm listening to Agatha All Along Down the Witch's Road right now. So let me breathe first, because I did enough talking. And when I talk a lot, I get kind of like mucusy. Oh. By the way, I'm drinking Mullein tea. I do want to say this because I feel like somebody else might enjoy. So I'm doing a lot of like fascia tissue work, right? Just a little break as we get into the acceptance and transformation. And one thing that I notice is the more that I stretch and kind of move my body, right? Something that does happen a lot, and it's called ectoplasm in like paranormal spaces when they're talking about ghosts and stuff like that. And I was starting to think, I feel like mucus is actually is ectoplasm. It's human ectoplasm, the sign that your spirit has been through. You know, when you have a deep cry and you get all mucusy and stuff like that, you have finally expressed out all of that stuff. What do you think is coming out? That's the ghost of you. That's the death of you. That's It's like some aspect of your spirit that has transformed and turned into like sludge and they're gone. So when I channel, oftentimes, like I'm pulling in concepts, but I have to like shift and turn channels. And, that's why I said, let me take a break, let the I'm shifting when we talk about like stillness in the body, right? That's a lot of air energy. But when we talk about transformation, this is more full on alchemy. There's a lot more water involved and stuff like that. So like, I have to shift energy, and my goodness, it sometimes feels, ugh, I hate talking about mucus. I'm that person that's like the word moist. You need to utter that around me. There are better words. You know what I'm saying? I experience sensations to the max. I'm a Taurus. So, I'm very peculiar. I don't like mucus as a sensation or as a topic, but I talk about it all the time now because it's my line of work. Oh my God, acceptance and transformation. I'm just kidding. That's going to be like, did you guys see how I spin that? My acceptance. I don't like talking about mucus. No, for real. It, everything I say matters, which is how energy works. But no, that is a little small piece of it, right? Like I have to accept this aspect of the job, and I'm accepting something that I otherwise find ugly. I told you guys earlier that as a Venetian, sometimes ugly is ugly, but as Venetian, I have a hard time accepting that. I only want to see the beauty. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I'm sure there's some beauty in this ugly. And ugly is like, no, sometimes ugly is just ugly, and you have to accept that. And I'm like, no, there has to be beauty in here somewhere. It's a thing. Anyway, so this would be kind of like one aspect of that is seeing beauty in ugly, mucus, and the beauty of spirituality. Like, it's gross, and some parts of it are just ugly. And getting into all of that, this is kind of a huge metaphor for whatever is in your life that you are transforming through. Some of that shit's just ugly. You get what I mean? It's just ugly. There's going to be some things that you have to accept that are ugly. And by that, I mean, they give you the ick. You go, I don't like that. I don't want that. That doesn't mean that that's you. It doesn't mean that like this is something you have internalized. When I internalize as a Taurus sensations, like I don't like mucus because it's not pretty, right? Like that's an internalization. Mucus is just mucus. It ain't pretty or ugly. It's literally just like coagulated water for the most part. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's other shit scientifically to it, but the point is, this is not that deep. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who would literally be like, you're doing too much. It's not that deep. And I'm like, it is that deep because I've internalized it, because I like to experience my reality a certain way. So that's an example of having to face something that's ugly. Does that mean it's deep? It's crazy? It's serious? No. Does that, like, I want you all to really understand, because this is something that I struggled with so much when it came to acceptance, is that just because it's ugly doesn't mean it's you. Just because you're accepting that it's ugly doesn't mean that you are accepting this into your life, that you were accepting this into your way of believing, your way of thinking, your way of moving or doing. It just means that reality is it's ugly and you don't like ugly. That's it. That's the only thing. When you accept in transformation, it's easy to accept the good things when you're transforming, right? The ups and the highs and stuff. I'm not going to get into all of that. Although there is something to be said. Oh my God, I have to blow my nose. Hold on. Oh, talk about that. That's so gross. Anyways. Not me. Oh, acceptance. See, acceptance. Okay, so what I do want to say is about the highs when it comes to transformation is like, accept them. Just because something good is happening to you does not mean that something bad will happen to you. It just means that something good right now is happening to you, and that you should fully enjoy it and fully sit in it so that you can soak up all of that good energy to do what you will do with it for whatever reason. And sometimes what you're going to do with all that good energy isn't in that moment, but it's in the memory that you are making in that moment. When you fully accept something good, you are making a memory that you will think back on later. And it will mean something really good for you later. Okay. So accepting good stuff for what it is important, and accepting bad stuff for what it is important, because they mean things to you. Like, you're applying meaning in that moment. The last thing you want to apply is haphazard, wishy-washy ass fucking attachments, You want to apply reality. In this reality, this is ugly and I don't like it. But what about all, like, okay, people, I'll say this, people do this while they're dating all the time. Especially if you're in a space and place where you don't have a lot of experience, with whoever you're dating. If you don't have a lot of experience with people in general or with love relationships, X, Y, and Z. That all leads to some level of desperation. Doesn't mean that you are desperate. There's a level of anxiety that goes with it, right? Anxiety is what oftentimes people label desperation, and it's not the same thing. But it does come up that way. So I use that word because a lot of people identify with it, and they don't need to. It's just anxiety. When you feel anxiety, that means you're not labeling something what it is. So if you're on a date with someone and you're like, well, they're attractive and they fit my income bracket, like all of this stuff on paper clicks, but like, I could learn to love that face, I guess. That person's probably attractive. You just don't find them attractive. And it's important that you accept that you don't find them attractive and move on. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes because you know that that's going on internally, you feel bad for not finding them particularly attractive, finding that spark that makes them attractive to you. And it's probably because they have qualities that are incompatible with you, not anything to do with their actual physical looks. But people do this all the time with dating. And I use this as an example, especially for those who identify as women or more of the feminine out in the world when they're playing gender roles or whatever. You will sometimes internalize feeling bad for the ick that you get from others because you don't know where the ick is coming from. And so you think it must be superficial. So that's not always the case. Sometimes the case is you're not compatible with the person and it's showing up in them not being attractive. And attraction goes beyond what's physical there. Everybody says it, right? Beauty goes beyond, attraction is beyond. And then people sit in the real world and they're like, it's just skin deep. It's like, pick one. Pick one, because this is a struggle. Beauty is beyond skin. It's more than skin deep, right? It goes deeper. So does ugly. Ugly goes beyond. And ugly just means I don't like that. For whatever reason, you don't have to apply any type of morals or anything like that to it. So when that's acceptance, is I'm not going to apply anything to it. I'm just going to look at the reality. Sitting across from someone who seems great in all aspects, except something just isn't it for me. Either you're going to gaslight yourself and go, well, they're great in all these, you're going to gaslight, which means I'm going to go logical only. Gaslight. What is a gaslight? It's when you turn up fire in a lamp, right? Like a gas lamp. You put up the flame, right? You add more air or some shit like that. I don't fucking know what gaslighting really is, like the actual term, like the oldie term, not the conventional psyche term that we use. But like essentially you're adding more fire to air, to illusions, right? So I'm going to add air, logic, and make myself delusional. I'm going to just go based on logic. And logic says logic isn't acceptance. Acceptance is when you look at both what the logic is telling you, and meaning your thoughts, and also what the emotion is telling you. Acceptance. So this is like acceptance, or the role of acceptance and transformation. I told you guys this is not just what were we doing in the previous one? What element? Scroll up. Where are we? Embracing stillness. So we were doing air, right? And I was telling you guys, this is more so alchemy, transformation. It adds in more elements, right? And the element that we're adding here is water. Okay. Water and air, generally, they're very turbulent together, or they're very still together, or they are bubbly. They do things. Water and air aren't exactly super compatible when you talk about elements, right? They don't meld together. They don't mix together well. They don't create something new. They kind of just clash and then separate again. They clash and separate again. So acceptance is of transformation. Transformation is the clashing and the separating again. Being able to add fire and earth to be able to ground whatever it is, whatever this clashing is, reality. What we're doing is we're adding reality. We put in some fire. Yes. What are you inspired? What inspires you? What attracts you? Or do you feel that spark? If you're getting a no, and you sit in the reality and there's no spark, that means this is not a full transformation. This isn't like when you're for the dating situation, there is no chemistry here. There isn't a full transformation. This science experiment is a dud. If I'm going to put it in science terms, this chemistry experiment, when I put these chemicals and these chemicals together, ain't shit happen. It's a dud. This chemical exchange, something's happening. Something's happening doesn't necessarily mean that what's happening is a good thing. Sometimes you can be alchemizing your trauma. Woo, it goes. And sometimes it's a great thing. You're alchemizing something new, right? Discovery, unknown. This is exciting. Not just anxiety driven because I'm doing something again and I know what's happening and I can predict what's happening and oh no, it's happening again. Yeah, I've done this experiment before and I keep failing versus I'm succeeding. So when we talk about like accepting the acceptance of transformation, we have to accept that transformation is trying to happen. When logic and emotion are in the same room, a transference of information is trying to occur. And are we going to take this and make something with it? And if we're going to make something with it, what are we going to make, right? So, that is the role of acceptance in transformation, is you have to accept that this is happening. Oftentimes what people do is they'll add some fire to gaslight themselves and go above the emotion, to go up high in the sky, up in the clouds, right? Oh no, it's fine. Everything's fine. I don't really feel that way. There's a lot of excuses that are being made. There's a difference between riding on hope and on joy and being like, no, I know I'm good. It'll all work out in the end. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it will, versus I'm going to gaslight myself and tell myself things are fine, even though I know that there are problems. I'm just going to figure out how to fix those problems later. No. You don't need to figure out how to, like, if you got to figure it out and it's not even a you thing, like, how are you going to fix? I just have to fall in love with that face. Wait, what? Like, you're setting yourself up for failure here. Your details said, the note said, you don't like it. So it's important acceptance. When you can accept what's right in front of you, then you can work with what's in front of you. And you can make a conscious choice. If you're making a conscious choice to choose to say that I don't like, this, that, and the other, and I'm going to do it anyways, you're making the conscious choice to also maybe tell that person or omit those facts, and that has consequences that come with it. You're accepting you're accepting something, and then accepting the consequences that come along with what you're accepting. When we ignore acceptance and stuff like that, what we're doing is, and we do the gaslight where, I'll figure something out. We're carrying the anxiety throughout the entire experience, which will shape your entire experience. You'll just be blind to what's going on versus someone who's consciously making choices. That's why sometimes you can make, oh, sorry, TikTok just let me know something. But anyways, that's why sometimes people can make conscious choices and they know that they're fucking something up, or they know that X, Y, and Z. And some people are like, it just hit me. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to experience transformation. And you can consciously do the wrong thing each and every time. For everybody has their reasons, or you can unconsciously do it. But if you want to consciously do it and get closer to making the successful changes that you're looking for in life, what you want to do, right, is not only accept what's going on, but also invite in a new mindset, invite in the unknown. So what is the unknown factor here? So let's talk about with the dating situation. What most people fail to do is just walk away. As it's too unknown. They don't know if they'll meet somebody else who qualifies here. So they'll just settle. This is what settling is. I'm going to stay with here, and I'm just going to make excuses about why I'm staying here. And then eventually pile those excuses up on the other person as if they asked them to do it. It's wild. But, like, people do all sorts of crazy. I used to watch a lot of reality TV and like dating stuff. because I found that shit funny, first of all. But then I was like, hold on, because reality TV is not like, a lot of these people are on substances. Like, they keep them, especially the Netflix ones, they would keep these people on alcohol all day, this, that, and the other. And so energetically, they have no logic system going. They're running straight on emotions and stuff. And I would like watch, and I'd like try to psychoanalyze it, and like, also psychoanalyze beyond the cuts and the edit scenes, because like anyways, the deep dive into reality TV was wild. Okay. But I got to see from a lot of different angles, the difference between story for TV versus what was really going on with people, and people when they felt betrayed, how they would act, and how they really, it was wild. But that was one of the huge things that happens is people oftentimes will settle, both people, if you're settling, the other person's also settling. Because they're having to settle with somebody who's not giving a full thing, and they might not know. They may be more optimistic, or they can also be realistic about it is what it is. The point is that you're not full in, and you're not taking those steps. Chances are they're not either. So people oftentimes didn't notice that on those shows and stuff like that. And so that's why I'm always saying, if you're kind of just like, whatever, I'm just here for the money, that job also feels the same way about you, right? Like, you don't convince yourself that this job actually cares about you. You know that if you're just there for the transaction, that it's because they're treating you like a transaction. They see you as one as well. And so if you're there and you feel a deep connection and a reason and things have been built, then also probably that other person or the other job or the entity, your boss, whatever, they're probably also connected in the same way. Like, there's a high probability. Otherwise, why would you be experiencing this? And then, there's some deeper psychology that goes into what happens when you meet that way, and then change happens, right? And then maybe somebody isn't that way all of a sudden. There's a lot, lives. But when we can accept what's in front of us, right? When we can accept it, then we can be conscious about the choice that we make in it afterwards. If you can accept that whatever habit you're trying to change, then you can consciously make the choice to either keep the habit in that moment or to do the new thing that you said that you would do. And then at that point, it's just a choice. We've whittled down. The role of acceptance and transformation is about allowing you to just simply make a choice to transform. And pardon me, transformation is a huge process, right? Think about a butterfly in a cocoon, or a caterpillar in a cocoon. They get mushy, they completely disintegrate, and then they completely get rebuilt. I don't know, that's just fucked up when you think about it. But that's a huge process. Transformation is a massive fucking process. It can take people anywhere from overnight to years. You get what I'm saying? Because it depends on what that person specifically is transforming to. And also, transformation takes place over your entire lifetime. You are constantly in many different cycles of transformation. So acceptance and accepting reality for what it is allows you to be an active participant in your transformation at every single step of the way, which means you then get to enjoy the process. Because if you pick what you enjoy, right? So if you're sitting down at that table and you're sitting across from this person, let's get around. I hate talking about dating situations because they don't really resonate with me that much. But I know that they're very common, because anyways, I'm not going to get into it. Let's talk about sitting across from someone and you're thinking about going into like a business or a project together, right? You're thinking about making or doing something with this person. If you don't feel completely like relaxed and at home in yourself, like, and you just keep telling yourself eventually it'll get there, you have to ask yourself, why isn't it there right now? Why don't you feel totally relaxed with them now? Because perhaps now isn't the time to do it then, if you don't feel that way now. And that'll help you understand, like, maybe I should put this off and like wait a little while, experience life with this person a little bit more, instead of just jumping the gun, right? Oh, it'll get there. We'll connect. I'm so excited. I do this all the time. Not all the time. Occasionally, where my excitement will predate my like, if I don't feel completely well but I'm excited to do something and I want to do something, I'll do that thing anyways, right? And then like I'll suffer it, but like I'm happy to suffer it, and I'm like, because I got to do this thing that I like. And it's like, that's still technically suffering. You know what I mean? Like, you're still putting your body or your mental or something in a space where it does not like what's being done to it, which is a conditioning. Now listen, it's okay to do that when you're challenging yourself, okay? Because eventually this challenge will transform me into something. But it's not okay to do that to appease others or to get this external thing that you're looking for. Because transformation is internal first. So even if you're like exercising, like you want flexibility, you don't want flexibility just to be flexible. You want flexibility so that you can experience internally something, right? So maybe you're a dancer. You want to be able to experience the next level of, or this, to be able to express or to articulate with your body something specific, and you need to get that extra stretch, and you need to be able to just totally bend it and snap it back or something to really express this thing. That's an internal thing. Yes, flexibility is the external thing that I'm looking for. So yes, I'm going to do the things that looks necessary to do that externally, but like this is for that internal yearning. So when you do things based on the internal yearning, they go well. When it's external, it like everything will fall apart. So it really doesn't matter. So like, yes, if you're doing like exercise, you're doing something for the internal, and that's why you're kind of putting yourself into that moment of suffering. That's okay. That's okay. But when we put ourselves in a moment of suffering, again, to appease others or for something totally external, you're setting yourself up to saying it's okay when this happens to me. So when someone else is doing it to you, in other words, it's okay to suffer this person and like these things that they say, these things that they do, because externally I will get this title. Externally, I'm going to get this thing, or because, it's really important to them that I show up for this. It's really important to them that X, Y, and Z. So I will suffer this thing that they do. When you're doing that, you're saying it's okay that this person harms me this way. So when it's not that person and it's someone else doing the same thing, you're going to, now it's a pattern, now it's a habit, and now it will eventually become, oh, it's a mental illness, and now it's part of your whole identity, and now it's just who you are, and now it's this quirky feature that you have, and now this quirky feature is turning into a burnout, and now this burnout is turning into like, I don't like this, I'm really unhappy with you get the point that I'm making. It's a real slippery slope. It's a slippery slope, okay? So acceptance keeps you from going down in those places. When you accept where things are, then you get to choose, what do I enjoy? Always, always, always lean into the unknown if the unknown is present. If what you're looking at is a crossroad between something you don't like and the unknown, choose the unknown. If you're choosing what you don't like, then you've made your choice. And you're saying, I will experience what I don't like. You can always change your mind. So, don't feel like, oh my God, I chose this. You just change your mind. Yeah, every day, you know what I'm saying? Change your mind. You just go to sleep and wake up and you're different now. And just be like, I changed my mind. So many people stay with sunk costs. I say this all the time. I'm a businesswoman, naturally. I came from a family of entrepreneurs. But that being said, listen, people hold on to a dead thing for way too fucking long. Change your fucking mind. I used to say this all the time when I was growing up as a kid. I was saying this so much that I think people thought I was probably like spiraling out or something. I was saying it, back in 2021, 2022, because I did have to transform every 5 minutes. I was going through, my spouse was sick, long COVID. We're like Christmas. I've got kids, it was getting very melancholy over here. Talk about a fucking gothic. Okay. I was melodramatic every 5 seconds. I was painting nonstop. That painting over there. Oh, that was one of the first ones. So nice. Anyways, what I'm saying is, things were wild over on my side of town. And so, I had to really transform and see myself in 1,000 different ways, experience life in so many different ways. I had to express myself in so many different ways. I expressed so much grief. I've dealt with like death before, very personal and close to me when I was younger. So I'm experiencing all of that coming up. New stuff, so much. Okay? So much. When I tell you, I was telling people every 5 minutes, oh, I'm a new bitch today. You know what I mean? Because there's sometimes you have to accept. You have to accept reality. You have to accept everything of what it is so that you can be present in that moment. And so therefore I was transforming all the time. I was seeing new things through the lens of grief and experiencing grief. I could see that nobody, like, you'll be surprised when someone as close to you is dying. Most people don't pay attention. Like, I say this all the time because this woman will forever be dragged. Forever dragged. It'll be in a memoir. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm an author, so my book came out in 2020, crazy, in September, bad times for all commerce, but it is what it is, and it was fine. But I'm towards it was like December, November, December, my spouse, I've expressed to them that, my spouse had long-term COVID, and they knew how grave it was. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. It's a really difficult time. Now, that being said, this is business conversation, so I'm not melodramatic. I'm not like, oh, I'm saying it's still a business conversation, but I'm still going to be honest and vulnerable in the moment because, you work on a project for 2-something years with people, you develop a relationship with them. Anyways, lo and behold, because Black Lives Matter was going on, this woman thought that I was upset with her because of I have no idea. I knew it was racist and Black Lives Matter was happening, and then with publishers and stuff like that, they're so sensitive about it because they get dragged every 5 minutes for being racist, and it's just because they are. They don't know how to not be, I guess. I don't fucking know, but that had nothing to do with me. I was over here in my own home, just sitting here I'm just my poor Victorian husband, who's all translucent by now, delivering what we can, all this. We're doing so much to keep the energy in the house calm and, to X, Y, and Z. So I'm really not thinking about all of this. All of this is happening around me, sure. And I am known in many spaces for being, I talk about social activism and stuff like that. I mean, people put those titles on me. I just talk about what is. I'm a realist. You know what I'm saying? People want to call me an activist for it. It's by all means, but I'm actively choosing to be the change I want to see. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? That's always my stance. So, that's what's going on in my world. And yeah, so she thought because I wasn't posting Instagram pictures about my book that I was upset with her. So you can imagine, as I'm literally dealing with mortality and and I've got small kids and the world is on fire, people Black Lives Matter is happening. I'm a Black woman, and also COVID, and also so much of this is happening all around me, and I'm trying to transmute all this energy. And then here comes this woman. Are you mad at me? For what? What do you mean? Why would you bring this to my doorstep? Anyways, karma is a bitch. I didn't do anything. I just gracefully backed out, and karma does things to people. So my point is acceptance is super important with transformation, because while it's happening to you, if you can accept reality for what it is, yes, sometimes you're going to feel it was wild. It was what the whole imprint. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. I would just say that karma is sweet. Okay. You just get out of the way. Rejection is protection. I was and that's it, but that was not a very strange experience in publishing. That is actually very common. So common that, it's memeable. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. But that being said, when you accept stuff and you can be in reality, you also don't take things personally. I didn't take it personally. That's what was so funny is, when I'm having conversations with me and my agent, stuff like that, they're so surprised that I wasn't taking it personally. And it's okay, first of all, not my first rodeo. I grew up Black in Florida. Do you think I would take anything personally? Oh, no. Absolutely the fuck not. Not to mention just the random fucking shit that people do in Florida because they're just tweaking for no fucking reason. Okay? I don't take things personally on fucking principle. But to take something, it's obviously she was going through stuff and she was projecting and stuff, but that's also what being in reality does, is it deflects things, and not everybody's going to see that. Not everybody's going to see things for what it is, especially when all this energy, Pluto was leaving Capricorn and stuff like that. So of course it's what you experience is while everyone is going up in delusion. Imagine, I just saw Sonic 3. Imagine there's a gravity thing and some people stay grounded and some people start to float up in the air and away, and they're just completely there's no gravity to them. That's people who are lost in delusion, except for they have no idea that they've left the ground. They can feel it. They're anxious. They're panicked. They know something's not right, but they don't know what it is. They've left the ground. You've probably experienced that for yourself, right? Florida. So yeah, you've probably experienced that to some degree when you know you're up in delusion. It can cause paranoia. It can cause anxiety, psychological fear, and terror are the those are the underpinnings of anxiety. I just so happen to always be around people with lots of anxiety, so it didn't bother me very much processing that kind of emotion or that kind of energy. Because again, Florida, it's swamp territory, naturally has a level of anxiety to it. So you have to learn how to process that in order to learn how to navigate the energy that exists in Florida, especially Central Florida, where it's built on swamplands. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of family that I have come from there. So I'm very native to being able to process that energy, but a lot of people can't. And that's why they go crazy in Florida. That's why Florida is the way that it is, because there's an energy resonance there that drives people mad unless they know how to ground in it. And like psychological fear and terror are like the epitome. Do you guys look at the predators that live there? They live underneath the murky waters and they pop out at you and bite your face off. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like silly, but I just mean, if you want to know what the energy of a space and place looks like, just look at the predators and how the predators hunt there. And that is the level of anxiety that exists in that space, because that's what's causing the anxiety. You know what I mean? So people take on that energy because they don't know the difference between them and their environment, them and X, Y, and Z. So that stuff, it's such a, I can't stand it most of the time. Like there are strains of it that it's just, anyways. I'm just, there's like, I have to shake it off me because there's like levels to it, if that makes sense. And it's wild. It's wild. There's beauty to it as well. But there's a darkness to that beauty. And I have to be in that energy. And when I'm in that energy, generally I'm very present. Like I refuse to obtain that energy while I'm like communicating with massive amounts of people, because again, psychological fear and terror, like I can I have the capacity to spread psychological fear and terror in people and just be talking and so natural and not even notice, that I'm like putting that in people. Like I have the capability of doing that with that much ease. So it's one that I don't really get into. So I have to, shake it off, yada, yada, yada. And also it's not one that I like to exist in unless it's necessary. So I know when that energy comes around, you know what I mean? And naturally Aries rising, and the moons of Aries are psychological fear and terror. So it's like, hello boys. What news do you bring today? I'm in the swamp and I'm all like mama alligator and shit like that. Anyway, so the point that I'm making is, what point was I making with that? Yeah, acceptance is important. When you don't accept things, you don't have the ability to ground. And the people who like kind of, they go up into the air and they're going higher and higher. Pluto going into Aquarius energy is doing that, right? It's causing people, there is no ground now. Before in Capricorn season, there was a ground. You could come down to it. And a lot of the people who were staying on the ground, they had like, they're grabbing onto ancestral, traditional things and values. That's where the Make America Great Again. And the Christians go really wild and they're getting biblical these days. And, everyone's going back to their roots, right? Everyone's trying to hold on to the ground in some way, shape, or form. But the truth is unless you are rooted in something real, and what real means in that particular instance is whatever Pluto going through Capricorn said was real, transformed it. Pluto going through Capricorn transformed what was real. And if you were aware and you transformed, you accepted it in the moment, then you too transformed with what was real. And when you grab onto your root, that is very much real, you're not going to go, poof. But people who were grabbing onto things that were not theirs, they were placing their belief systems in others, or they didn't have their own belief system. They're not in control of their own thing, no agency, autonomy. They're not making, again, what does it mean to be acceptance, to have acceptance and transformation? It means to have integrity. If I can accept reality, then I can be responsible for myself in it. I can be accountable in it. I can have autonomy and agency and make my choices in how I transform. That requires a lot of integrity. So, if people weren't being they weren't practicing integrity during those times, then they weren't actually building a root system, and they're having a hard time grounding now. So sometimes it surprises people, like what you're not grounded, what's not really grounded, right? There's no shame in it, and this, that, and the other, unless you were aware, unless you're aware that, and that's the thing too, is a lot of people, they're in households or families or whatever. I've been saying this for forever, that bystanders are, you don't want to be a bystander in these times. And a bystander is someone who's in a household with people. They know that what these people believe and think and act and choose to say and do and how they go about life is wrong, but they still entertain them. The universe says like equals like. If you can be in their wrong space, that means you're floating with them too. If you can emotionally connect with someone who's up high in the sky with their delusional ass like behaviors, means you're up there too. And if you know that, good, because then you also know how to come down. If you don't know that that's going, if you don't know that you're up high in delusional land, when you are communicating, even when you are arguing against, if you can connect, what's a delusional behavior? So a delusional behavior is choosing, for instance, a delusional behavior is when their perceived internal reality. So my belief systems are yours now. The way that I see the world is the way the world is. That's reality. Also, the thoughts that I think you have, those are your thoughts. That's a delusional behavior. This is a good question. So for instance, let's say I work with somebody named Brenda, right? And I'm minding my business, and Brenda's like, I know you talked to the our supervisor about this project because you're trying to edge me out. And I'm like, okay, first of all, she asked me if I'd do it. I didn't talk to her about anything, and I'm not trying to edge you. And she's like, you don't have to be fake with me. Oh my God, Brenda, I don't even know what you're talking about. Brenda has a problem where Brenda believes that her reality and how she thinks other people's internal worlds is what their internal world is. In other words, she'll sit there and make up conversations in her head and then convince herself that that's how I truly feel and that's how I truly think. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. She knows my inner world better than I do, Brenda. That's delusional, because how could you ever know anybody's inner world or why they're doing stuff? We can pattern recognize stuff and we can kind of take best shots and guesses, but at the end of the day, you'll never know somebody's internal reasonings for doing things, and especially how they came about doing the thing that they're doing to you. Sometimes people will sabotage you because they didn't even think of you to begin with. So to be totally honest, if you're over here coming up with this whole concept and idea about why this, and yeah, poor Brenda, if you're coming up with this whole concept and idea of why somebody did X, Y, and Z, and meanwhile they're like, bitch, I didn't even know that you existed, to be honest. That means that you're so far from their reality that whatever you've came up with is not real. It's not real. What you came up with is not real. Now, did they still do something that negatively impacted you? Yes, but all of the stuff that you came up with as for why, how, is not real. That's all delusion. It's all imaginative. When we know what we're doing, when we know we're in an imaginative world, when we know that we're doing that, it's okay, because at least then you're being delusional. If I'm having a fight with somebody in my head, I'm like, ooh, okay. Let me leave because it's delusional. I don't know why somebody did some crazy shit. Now, that being said, I'm peeping that energy, because why, if somebody came up in my head, why did this come up? Why am I feeling some kind of way? Means that whatever energy I've got with them, it's not compatible. I don't give a fuck why. I don't give a fuck what it is. I just know it's not compatible. So if that person were to text me 2 hours later talking about, you want to get coffee? Absolutely the fuck not, bitch. Absolutely not. Because I don't know what it is, but something ain't right with you. Something ain't right. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and give this space and allow time to create clarity. So now I can observe this person. Maybe they were going through something crazy and they were projecting some weird shit that I picked up psychically. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't really give a lot of care. I don't give a lot of meaning to it. And so, naturally this will happen to you where people think you're holding a grudge against them because you're giving them space because you don't like the energy that's there. And it's like, I can give you space without disliking you. I can give you space without holding any type of grudge. I'm giving you space because the water seemed turbulent and this bitch isn't trying to drown. I just wanted to be on the boat. Like, I'm making a choice for me. It has nothing to do with you, boo. You could be going through ups and downs because your goldfish died and I have no idea. But also, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt and be on the waters that are turbulent with you talking about, well, I don't know why they're turbulent. Well, then why are you in the water? Get out, get on the boat. You don't need to drown just because you don't know. So that's my thing is delusional behavior is when someone's behaving in some type of way that's not real. It's all based on their imaginary. And why did I bring up that to begin with? Sometimes I explain stuff and then it takes a second. I can feel my mind spinning back on. But yeah, when if you're around somebody, right, and they have delusional behavior, meaning a narcissist for the most part, right? Like if somebody is really, the way they see the world is how it works and nobody can convince them of anything else otherwise, which means they erase everybody else's lived perspectives. If you're in the room and you're having a conversation, you're present with them and you're connected with them in any way, shape, or form, you are up there in ways that you do not know, which means you're also not grounded in reality. Even if, some people say, oh, well, I just like to challenge those people, because you're also up there delusionally. You believe that their delusion is real in some way, shape, or form, which is what's making you want to act and play up there. When you start playing, we talk about fairies and, in folklore, if you go to a fairy party and you eat food or you join the dance, you'll never be able to stop dancing. Essentially, consuming what other people have to say in that space and playing with them there, exchanging energy. Now you're in a dance and you don't even know you're dancing. Most people will sit there, oh, I'm not. I know what I'm doing. I'm just fucking with them. No, you're dancing with them. You are in the fairy dance now. And once you start, you can't stop until you crash. Because there's a reason why you got sucked in. You got sucked in, and the crash is when all of a sudden the power goes out, zoom, and guess what comes crashing down to the ground? When we choose to be up there, for me, I choose to go up high and into imaginative spaces. And I tell people this consistently: stop putting people there who you know, and stop putting real people there. The only person who should ever be up in your imaginative space is you. That's it. Anything else that comes in up there is a message from something you've collected, but that's not you. You don't need to interact with that. Once you're up there, sometimes egregores will come up, elementals come up, deities come up. These are all giant swaths of information that can materialize itself in a non-material way to you in your imagination to talk to you. So when people are like, oh, I'm talking to this goddess, Hecate. Hecate is all of this, it's her domain to some degree, right? Your inner world is protected by her. So that kind of deity comes around when someone's dealing with that energy in their own selves. They're able, because they know the story of Hecate and the symbolisms, to look at all that energy that's floating around up here and go, oh, that's Hecate formed, which means yada, 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 yada. It's a way of dissecting and understanding information. When you're up there doing that consciously, you know how to come down. You're like a tree. Oh man, I'm about to hit a Minecraft metaphor. You're like a tree, okay? You got roots and you can go up to the leaves and you can spend time up gathering the sun, and you're like, hey, Apollo. Hey, oh, he giving me that download. Oh, you know what I'm saying? You spend time up there, and then as you come back down into yourself, right, and into your roots, because you're the tree. You've built this tree. You've built this roots. You've built this system. You know how to go up and down. Now, oh, hey, sincerely, Apollo. That's right. I swear to God, every time you're in here, I'm mentioning the Apollo of the sun. So, but when, in Minecraft, you can like cut a tree And like the tree's still there because they're blocks. It's blocks, okay? And in Minecraft physics, you can cut into the middle of the tree and the tree is still standing. It just has invisible space between it and the ground. That's like people who are grounded themselves in a dying tree. Okay, the roots are dead. They went up and they keep going up and they keep going up because they know that the roots are dead and the tree is slowly dying from the bottom up. Trees die from roots up. So if you don't get off at some point in time, have your little crash. Oh no, I gotta meet myself. That's the shadow, right? I gotta take this leap and just meet myself, go into the unknown. I have to go to transformation, death, birth, rebirth, right? I have to go do that. That's acceptance in itself. Whew. Oh, you were close to the ground. Good. You don't want to be up there in the fucking leaves with the people who are going to deny everything until once it all stops. Once the death reaches the limbs and that leaf, they got a far way to go. They stand on that leaf and they got a nosedive all the way down to the ground. Most people don't come back from stuff like that. That is a very high death defying kind of leap. You get what I'm saying? That's my entire world is crashing around me, and I've invited so much of that into. I'm materializing a truly earth-shattering crash because I'm up here. Anyway, so that's the what's happening when I say when you need to ground, like the act of being present, right, and grounding yourself is the act of recognizing reality, so you always know where touchdown is. Because sometimes they think reality is deep somewhere underground in the deep dark roots, and when they come down to touch ground, they go deep under the ground, and they're in this it's like a scorpionic space. You know what I mean, where everything's dark and nothing is, no real love exists here. Everything is, dark and like emotions exist. Okay, like everyone knows emotions exist in the roots, but it's like everything is much darker than what actually it is. And because you're underground, you know what I mean? You're seeing all of the underbelly of everything. And so when you're in the underbelly, I call that hell, obviously. So do I say obviously. So the sacreds call that hell. You know what I mean? When you're so deep underground, in Japanese, I've been studying Japanese, there's Dole, I think, is like, it's like Doyobi is Saturday, and it's like the above. It starts with the kanji that's like it's above, right? And then shita is below, so you go below ground, and then you have ground, ichi, just one. I'm one. Ichi, the ground, just this level. People consistently confuse those three spaces. They think they're touching down up here or down here, when in reality, you're trying to learn how to touch down on ground. Ichi, just one. You're trying to learn how to touch down. So what's the difference between delusion and ambition? So, delusion, when you're in your own delusion, you want to be conscious. It's just consciousness. That's the difference. Between delusion and ambition is consciousness. When I aspire, I'm up here. This is all fire and air energy. You need to be up here. You need your imagination. The problem is when you ground in your imagination, you don't want to be grounding in your... You want to ground in your imagination. Sometimes, when I'm writing a book and I'm writing fantasy, right, it's super easy not to get grounded in a fantasy world. There are elves and dwarfs, maybe, if I'm reading Lord of the Rings. If I'm writing my own thing, there's probably dragons at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? I can't ground here because when I go outside, the whole world is like, bitch, it's not real. So, I can't ground there. Okay? Some people do. Ever go to a Renaissance fair? Okay, you ever go to some interesting places on the internet? LARPing, no shame. All that shit looks fun. Okay, but if you actually go, then you'll meet the people who really don't ground in reality. Okay, we all like a little cosplay. We all like a little LARP, you know what I'm saying? We all like a little play pretend. Okay? I love to do the little play pretend, you know what I mean? But you ever go there? Let me put it this way. You ever stop by a Wendy's on your way to play pretend, and the bitch at the Wendy's has elf ears, and she's like, my name is Shilalanga, and I am the queen of it. And you're like, bitch, this is a Wendy's. I understand I'm going there too, but can we break character for a minute? And she's like, character? What do you mean? And you're like, that accent isn't even real. We are in a Wendy's. A Wendy's. I need you. I need to ask you for directions. And you keep telling me to go beyond the Shire to there. We're in a Wendy's. I need you to be real with me right now. You're being weird. Who am I? I don't know who that can kind of, that really weird, awkward place where you're standing next to somebody and you're like, I really want to connect with you, but I don't think you're from here. I don't think you are in reality at all. And that makes me uncomfortable. Makes me wonder if I'm too in reality. Do I not know how to have fun? Nah, you're just out of Wendy's and this bitch is being weird. That's it. You're out of Wendy's and the bitch is being weird. Pardon me. Anyways, so when we talk about unconscious versus conscious, right? It means I know when and how, and I'm the one who gets to enjoy this and gets to play. Maybe the weird bitch is weird to you. Maybe her being that way out of Wendy's, she's doing this for the whole weekend and she refuses to break character. And that is absolutely fun for her. And she can touch ground and touch reality, but she has a total different understanding of what that means for her. Perhaps she works in an industry that you would find absolutely fantastically magical. She makes costumes and designs, and this is all she does year round. And like, she's the epitome in World of Worldcraft or some shit like that. Maybe she's famous in World of Worldcraft, and so she's in character because when she goes out to do LARPing with these people, like, they expect her to be there, and this is who she really is anyway. She just never felt comfortable being this way with other people, and you just so happen to be a random fucking person to Wendy's who can't have fun with that. Because in her reality, she's touched on ground. Hers is just more magical than yours. See? So the difference, right? The difference is, what does it mean for you? When you're making those conscious choices, neither of these two people are wrong. The one at the Wendy's who just needs some fucking instructions and they're new to this, right? They don't know how to touch ground up that high, like an actual fucking ground. That bitch is the Lapita Castle in the sky. You know what I'm saying? She's on ground. She's just, she's in a fairy world where we have not reached yet. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it is kind of magical, isn't it? The background. Anyways, but like, she's just in a different place. So also it's not about comparing, right? What is the difference between delusional and ambition? That's for you to decide. Okay. Some people will say that your ambition is delusional. And some people will say that your delusions lack ambition. They're going to say all sorts of stuff to you. The difference is what does it mean to you? What are you embodying? Because that's what you bring to the table. This bitch over here who's playing her World of Warcraft, she's not Elphys, but she's Elf. I don't know what her name was. Let's give her a real name. Oh my God, I'm blanking on all the ones from Lord of the Rings. Galadriel. Okay, she's Galadriel. You know what I'm saying? In her world, you have no idea. She might have a hobbit home. She might be raking in the millions. Okay, maybe this Galadriel found herself a Galadra daddy. Maybe she's a sugar baby. I'm just saying, let's throw in all of the wildest fucking possibilities to show us that we really don't know who people are or why they choose to be who they are in the moment when they're choosing to be that person. It's none of our fucking business. It's none of our business. Maybe this is like the way in which she bankrolls and lives out her fantasy world. And for her and for everyone around her, that is very real. And she also runs a company or business, or she makes so much money and she gets Galadra daddy to spend it all on LARPing vacations and building up theme parks for people who enjoy. You get what I'm saying? Maybe they're making this place because we can do that. We can get together with other people and make something that was otherwise not real. I mean, how many fucking people have gone to Hogwarts and that's not even fucking real? You know what I'm saying? Like even the creator who works tirelessly to destroy Hogwarts in the hearts of many, she's turned into Voldemort, just forcing all these people to really live up to the Harry Potter, like, fan fiction fantasies that they have. Like, can they fight evil? Can they see evil? She's like, look at me, can you see it? You know what I mean? Like, how many people have been to Hogwarts and they've never been? Like, it's not real. And then it was in Japan and in Florida. You can go. Is it real? Scotland. Is it real? I don't know. It depends on who you're with, right? Depends on if you can be there in your own self, if you can feel it and experience it and let it inspire you to make choices and do something else. So that's the difference. It's just so, like for me, I ground in many different places. I can ground deep, deep, deep. Like hell is a home away from home. It's about being conscious. When I'm there, I'm not interacting with people in the real world at all. Do you know what it's like to activate people when you're on a register of hell? And sometimes my thing is that's going to happen to you. You are going to be an energy sometimes that is of the hell variety because you need to unearth something in yourself. So you are death incarnate. You're walking around and you want to trigger people when you're death incarnate. Probably not. I say this to women who, and those who have wombs, right? Those who identify as women and have wombs. Specifically, when you're on your cycle, you are death incarnate. So know that you are probably going to trigger yourself to transform because you literally are bleeding out. Your body is dying and rebirthing at the same time. Okay. That's a lot. Can we go ahead and just acknowledge that is literally what's that superpower everybody wants? When you can regrow stuff immediately. You know what I'm saying? Rejuvenation. That's not it. You know the point that I'm making. The ability to I was gonna say revigorate. That's not a word either. I'm waiting to see if anybody will guess it in the chat. But the ability to regrow yourself, your limbs, your this, your that, to just the health thing. Regenerate cells. Yeah, essentially. It's regeneration. Thank you, everybody. And it was such a long word too. But yeah, the ability to regenerate. Okay? Everybody wants that superpower. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. And you know how sometimes your emotions are going all over the place? Yeah, that's what it's like. That's what regeneration is like. You were doing it in the moment, and it is that's what it feels like when it's happening all at once that fast. Wolverine, he could regenerate, but he was also unhinged all the time. It's probably why. Okay. I call that a Tuesday for real. So it's being able to handle that. That is part of transmutation, which is death, life, rebirth cycle. I talk about that all the time. Women who run with wolves, everyone, please, I know I'm talking about power of now right now, but women who run with wolves, that book will help you learn transmutation, how to exist in the hell, how to bring it up and unearth it, and also how to go up high. And in celebration, how to be under the sun unabashedly. Okay. I was just thinking in my mind, so I'm just going to say it because it's ridiculous, but it's like being able to go outside and shake your titties under the sun. You know what I mean? Just unabashedly. What do you have to have any kind of feelings about that? Those are your titties and it's the sun and it's out for you. Shake them. You know what I'm saying? The ability to just do some wild shit like that is death reincarnate. That is death. That is the wild woman. That is the energy of life to just say, I am here. And this is what that means. You know what I mean? So the role of acceptance in that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should go outside waving their nipples up to the sun, but if that's what you need to do, by all means, just do it within the legalities of wherever you exist. You know what I mean? Have your fun. That's part of life too, is finding those loopholes. You can't do that everywhere. There is a sense of time and place, right? And that's learning how to adult in life. Children, they could do it, in most cultures, children running around with their nipples up to the sun is nothing. They're just babies running around. You know what I mean? Nobody cares. But you get a little older and all of a sudden people are like, you need to rein that in. So it's about learning, okay, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they're not just trying to stifle you. Maybe there is a reason for that. And maybe the journey of learning what that means and what reining it in means and still being able to shine. Maybe you're just being asked to do it in a different way. Maybe it's a painting instead of your nipples. Maybe it's poetry that's so raw and profound that it's like people are seeing you naked. Maybe it's a song. Maybe it's you on stage. Maybe it's you just laying down and enjoying yourself on the beach in a 2-piece bikini. Maybe it's you running into the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's with your hair down. Who the fuck knows? It's different for everybody. So that's acceptance. in transformation. I think I will get to letting go of the illusion of time. Yeah, because this one's a short one. So, letting go of the illusion of time, and maybe we'll get to using the body as an anchor for presence. Because, yeah, I do feel like I've talked so much about that we might as well. I've been alluding to it. I told you guys that I would allude to using the body as an anchor for presence is what we're talking about. Where are you in time and space? Have acceptance in that, because that's where your body is, so you can anchor and bring your energy into it. I talked about that when we were also talking about alignment and stuff like that. See, I told you, anytime I tell you something, I do come due. I never know how it's going to happen. I be making promises. I'm going to allude to this as we go. And then I have no idea how the fuck I'm going to do that. But naturally it happens, because obviously, like, how could I not allude to that when we're talking about these things? Anyways, so letting go of the illusion of time. This one's a huge one. Oh my goodness, how I struggled. So, I'm hugely time oriented as a child. I'm going to explain this to you guys so that you can understand. As a child, I used to play with numbers in my head, right? I used to play with time all the time. I used to hold my breath a lot to figure out how long I could hold it and what time looked like, or play with time. It was slightly OCD. This is when I learned what OCD was as a child, and I was like, I don't think I like that. You know, because I was that person that was like, if I can make it. I used to play these games with myself because I was so fucking bored all the time. So, it was either Barbies, Legos. Sometimes I had video games, and reading, not so much when I was this young. So, I had to really entertain myself. Okay. I was raised like an only child. So, only children, they'll tell you, we get weird. We're weird in our free time because we have to entertain ourselves. So, so she's a millennial, you know what I mean? And, oh yeah, I couldn't go outside. Like, my mom was terrified. She was like, do you know what the world would do? She was like, you're so beautiful. People would just snatch you up and do terrible things to you. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. like, okay, thanks. But she was not wrong. So there's that. So anyways, one of the games I would play is I would run from like the kitchen to my room, and I'd try to do it in a certain amount of time. And then I would like add in all these obstacles, right? And if I didn't make it, I'd have to like flip light switches, and I'd have to flip them so fast that it seemed like it wasn't going, just like stupid little shit like that. Anyways, doing stuff like that, I realized, you can trick yourself into believing that you have to do those things. And I was like, oh God, I don't like feeling like I have to do it. I didn't like that feeling. So I learned very early on that there's an illusion at play with, I'll explain how this works with time, but like I learned very early on, a lot of the different things that have to do with numbers, input, logic, so to speak, logic specifically. If I didn't want to have to convince myself that I have to do this, then I have to convince myself that I don't need to do it, just the same way that I convinced myself that I had to. So it was like I was always playing these little word games in my head. I was like casting spells on myself and having to undo them in real time. I was like, you have to flip the light switches. Why? Or else the thing will get you. And then I'd like lose, and I'd be like, oh God. And then I'd be like, I don't like this game. And then, one day I'd be like, you have to play the game. And I was like, who's this dark me? Why? And then, I'd have to think of a spell, how to get out of this. Well, the dark thing, and then I'd come up with something that helps me defeat the dark thing. And then boom, boom, boom. And yeah, I had a very active imagination, honestly. It was never ending. And then I learned to just like, it's fun. It's fun. And I learned how to entertain myself as a kid. And, it was helpful. But that being said, there's something that happens when you pair interest in numbers, logic, and time together. You start to notice, there's a Greek word for time. There's two different words. One that means time as in a linear thing, and one that means time as a conscious thing. There's a reason why linear time is tick, 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 tick. It never stops. Oh, the little angel boy is back on my song. He's talking about paradise. Oh man. I'm sorry. I keep telling y'all about this song, and I have no way of sharing it with you all. But that being said, there's a time that exists, and the reason why the song coming on is so ephemeral, it's like ephemeral. I don't know the word, but it's beautiful because this is a cosmic time. This is the time of the planets, right? Some time ago, there was an event that happened. Scientists like to call it the Big Bang, yada, yada, yada. But therein lied nothing, and then something. And it's been going ever since, right? And that ever since We can measure it because we can see the planets moving and we know the calculations of how they move. And in this has created something so beautiful called life. Oh, that's why, because the song's called Paradise. Not me talking about Eden. So we have this beautiful thing called paradise where you can experience time. You can experience cosmic time, this linear progression that never ends. Now, that being said, it's on a fucking loop and it's insane because as a divine being, right? In, out, divine feminine, divine masculine. As a divine being who experiences the avatar that is in time, I both can experience cosmic time as my body avatar. I'm just going into infinity. And then also as a cosmic being that is not the body, that is a consciousness outside the body, I'm like, hold on a second here. There's an end to this because this thing's breaking down slowly but surely. You know what I mean? Also history. Also, oh my God, am I experiencing the timeline that is Cleopatra? Am I Cleopatra reincarnate? Oh my God, am I the Dalai Lama? Oh my God, am I Becky from across the street because we both like all the same stuff? Like there's this other time that's going on and it's called out of time. Out of time. There's time that is cosmic and linear. And then there is out of time. And that's all other time. That's everything else. That's thoughts, ideas. It's everything. It's everything. It's everything. And then time is how we organize it for a very short period to be able to understand everything. So, for instance, I think I might draw this actually. So, I'll show you guys the out of time. I'm just going to make a bunch of dots or something like that. And then maybe some lines. I don't fucking know. This is, oh my goodness, it looked like the kanji for water. Mizu. That's what that is. Okay, so I'm just going to make some dots like this, okay? And all these lines are your ability to travel, okay? This is time. This is out of time, okay? All these lines are your ability to travel, okay? Your ability to do something and go here. Maybe this is like Cleopatra, okay, over here. And this is like the time of, I don't know, I don't want to say Queen Elizabeth, but she's on my mind. Here she is. Why? Why is she on my mind? Ew. Somebody mentioned corgis. That's why. Here is the time period of Tesla. Okay, over here. Tesla's over here. Wow. You, as a conscious being, are all these lines. You can go to all these things, and you don't even have to do it linearly. You can go around. You don't even have to go next to what you're, no, shit, you guys can't see. You don't have to go to what you're next to. You can decide to align yourself with anything. Now, you see how I'm having to draw all these weird fucking circles and stuff's starting to look weird and disorganized. Instead, what we get is we identify boops. Sorry. We identify 2 points in time. So let's say we really just want to fucks with you are here and Tesla. Well, that's Tesla. This is you. And this is Tesla. Okay. And you want to learn the 369 method or some shit like that. What you're going to do is you here are going to probably consume information about and from. The more it's from Tesla, the better. You're going to read his memoirs, the ones that he wrote, his journals, whatever he has, you're going to read it. You're going to go to places he's gone. And all of a sudden, you don't have to go there physically. You can. I think I met Tesla once at the New Yorker. It was weird. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do because I was there and there was these footsteps and they ran up behind me. And I thought it was I had my 3-year-old with me. And I thought he was running to the elevators. And I was like, and I turned around to say, shh, no running in the hallway. You know, there are people that might be asleep. And there's nobody there. I was like, what the fuck? And every time I think of that, behind the thought comes Tesla. There might have been a picture of him in the New Yorker. I don't know. But either way, ever since then, he's been fucking with me with pigeons. But anyways, the point that I'm making is what you're going to do is, we do this all the time. You have these entanglements with energies all the time. Think of the books that you like to read. I've got one with Leo Tolstoy. I've got one. I definitely have one with Dickens. Oh, and what's his name? He's gonna be so mad. I said that like he's alive. But author of Sherlock Holmes. Oh my god, he's gonna hate me. Doyle. Okay, Doyle came through like a fucking wrecking ball. I love the energy, really do. And it's because we're all out of time. Hey, Virginia Woolf comes through for me all the time. There's lots of English ones. There's lots of also non-English ones that come through all the time. I'm starting to get in touch with Japanese ones. These are all people in different points out of time. Okay, out of time. They don't exist in our timeline. And you can connect with them quantumly. So I can, all of a sudden, I can connect with Tesla, right? We've got energy. We're going back and forth. Why do you think Tesla saw the future? Maybe he saw it through my eyes. Why do you think anyone has the capacity to do anything that they can do? Because we're seeing through each other's eyes all the time. That guy, he got taken out. Oh my goodness. It can happen with living people, yes. The thing about it is that, stuff will come to you from living people all the time. I put barriers and blocks up against people who are alive, but who do not have access to my physical presence. So if someone doesn't have access to me physically, either through neutrality, right? Or through like some actual energy exchange. I put up blocks. Because you can't just come knocking on my spiritual fucking door trying to like download information, see life through my eyes and blah, 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 blah. Like, they're going to be wrong anyways. The thing is, when someone's dead and they exist out of time and you go to them, you're going out of time. When someone exists on a timeline with you and you're trying to go to them, you're crossing hairs because you guys exist on the same timeline. So it's like, you might as well just meet up. That's why, this is how it works energetically speaking. I'm going to blow my nose really quick. Ectoplasm. I'm talking about ghost. I told you guys, it's so gross. And like, I get so dehydrated. Okay, so, that's better. So anyways, when you're working with an energy that's out of time specifically, that's why I say when it comes to reading books and stuff like that, I'll digest in a lot of people who are already dead because I enjoy psychic connections with dead people way more than I do living ones. Most of them have reincarnated, but like in some other, I don't know their reincarnation. You get what I'm saying? I have no recollection of that. I'm interacting with a very specific, also energy print that they left behind to communicate with someone. That is the intention and the purpose. So there's already consent. I'm not going to like dig up Tesla's body and to like sniff his bones. That's not consensual. That's weird. You know what I'm saying? That's weird. So interacting with someone in a way that they don't consent to is weird. But anybody who's ever written a book has wanted to reach out to you. Otherwise, the book wouldn't be in front of you. Like, there are billions of books. The book's in front of you because they reached out to you through time and space. Book, time and space. They made it to you. Can you imagine Leo Tolstoy? I don't know if I would consider him a romantic specifically, but sometimes I just stuff hits me. Actually, it was my partner who like really introduced me to Leo. Now I talk about him like we're besties. Leo, stop. No, but I got introduced that way, and my partner he saw my way of thinking and speaking, in when he was reading War and Peace, I think. And yeah, I read the first paragraph, and I was like, oh, I see what you saw. I see what you saw. You know what I mean? And so like I'm instantly, that's why I can instantly connect and stuff like that. Now, anyways, the point is that they're dead. They're out of time. So the connection is a lot more cleaner. Okay. And I'm doing it through consensual means. You know what I'm saying? I'm inviting it in. It's inviting me. It's a good exchange, and I'm doing it consciously. I have a question probably, which is why this came to me to begin with. I'm looking for something, and this has what I'm looking for in it. And so I should engage with it consciously to be able to unpack those things. Right. And this is, This is how we engage energetically with stuff in the real world. So you're trying to manifest something. What am I trying to manifest with Leo? I have no idea. I know to some degree with Doyle. Man, he wouldn't let me go. He's my heart, my kokoro, it might be in Scotland. He's like, you've got to come. And I'm like, what's going on here? And, so, it could just be that one of the books that I write, I really enjoy the space and the place and the ability to write it there because I'm just more open to something. And what I'm open to and what he has to offer can be exchanged easily in that space. And so psychically speaking, that's what's going on. So if I'm conscious of that, then I know what's going on around me. I know like the experiences that I'm having are all in that direction, if that makes sense, because I'm open to it. Now, when you do stuff like this with people who exist on your, like, this is your timeline. This is Tesla's timeline. Okay. I can line these two things up and compare and contrast and see a pattern. When you're in the same timeline as someone else and you're trying to like pattern recognize them, you have no idea how they see the world, and they probably haven't invited you in to do that. So you're not even getting their information. So what are we really stacking up and comparing? That's why I tell people, if someone's I'm psychic and I know what other people think and what they're saying and stuff like that, it's like, to a degree, yes, but it has to be consensual. Telepaths, like the telepathic tapes and stuff like that. There's a lot that, like, it's interesting. I haven't finished it yet, and I'm going to get deeper into it. But there's a lot that's going on where they're picking up information that is consensually given out, because a lot of people don't know how much they give out consensually. Especially mothers, like, usually the strongest point of connection is between not just mother and child, but also child and other telepathic child, because they're open to making that connection. But mother to child, because as a mother, you were blasted wide the fuck open. Like, your kids lived in your body. You created them. So, like, the information is theirs. Does that make sense? You can't be stingy. My youngest, oh my God, he was nonverbal for quite some time. And the sheer amount of, he still sometimes, he doesn't really try anymore to just like psychically get things done. Man, he would have us doing complicated shit without saying a word. And one day I looked up and I was like, we have to stop doing this. I was like, listen. I was like, you're sending me these complicated instructions and I'm trying to cook dinner at the same time. I need you to kind of verbalize some of that, because I can't juggle both. But also, I see you. And so, like, it's being able to, we are all capable of telepathic communication, but there has to be levels of consent to it. Whenever I do readings with clients, so the first things I ask is I explain to them that we all live on our own worlds, like little planets, you know what I mean? And I'm asking if it's okay for me to come visit their planet, to visit their world, because I'm going to be picking up information and I'd like to be able to tell them what I see and how I see things. Most of the clients I talk to, I'm talking to them about something. They spend half the time talking to me about what's going on with them. And then I talk. And as I'm talking, I will be telling them, okay, I want you to focus on these things and these things. I might have some questions, right? And I'm talking about this, that, and the other. And then eventually, I'll say, I feel like there's that if you want to go somewhere, just go to the park. I don't know, maybe there's a tree there or something and like a bench, and you can sit there. And they'll be like, how do you know? I go to the park and I always sit on my favorite bench next to my favorite tree. And I'm like, because it's in the energy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm able to pick up all that stuff, or, especially painters, I tend to pick up on their stuff because they work with a lot with colors. And so I'll know, like, anyways, the point is that the energy, all of the information's there. And like, if I have consent to go through it and to look through it, I always can say that I'll leave it better than I arrived, because, that's an important thing. So if you're working with someone who's doing energy work with you, make sure that they ask for consent, one, and two, that, they intend to leave it better than they arrived. Okay. You can't leave somebody haphazard and frazzled. And, so sometimes people are very much like, the time is the time, and I'll respect the cosmic time. 30 minutes pass, click, click, and they'll leave you like open and unwound and stuff. And that's not okay. I always like to make sure that when I leave people, they are left with all of the stuff that they need that we've uncovered, so that they know how to, first of all, get there themselves, uncover, and do, there's a whole thing that goes with it. My point is, so when you're doing this kind of energy work, that's me doing energy work here on my timeline with someone else in their timeline, right? So when you're doing that, there's a lot of rules and regulations that go here. Okay. Doing energy work in the same timeline as someone else is literally like trying to manipulate reality, and the universe swarms in like little fucking beehives. Zoom, 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 zoom. And you know, when a lot of people are channeling Archangel Michael energy. Yeah, he's always around when someone's doing a foul. You know what I'm saying? He comes around here all the time. And it used to be I grew up hanging out with those types of energies, and they're always there. They're always watching because they're like, "What are you up to?" And I'm like, "I am not up to anything. That's this person." And then they're like, "Oh, geez." You know, when you're around people who have lots of isms, racism, ableism, thisism, as, you know, they just have a lot of faulty beliefs. And part of their belief structure is that you're a black girl or a black woman. And so therefore they inherently can just assume bias over you. There's a certain level where people, it activates their unconscious, right? And so they're always doing fouls. So when the energy comes in, I always know, oh, yeah, no, this is where you and I end, because you're up to no good, because this energy is hovering around, and this energy has come around me so much, and I have such a relationship with it that like I'm on a first name basis with this energy, and we're friends. You know, it's like a private eye that comes around, and we're friends. You know, he comes over on his days off sometimes. I remember I had moved, and I remember I had this entire vision, and I was supposed to go walking, and I was supposed to, and like Archangel Michael came up, and it was so sad. And I was like, "What is this? Why are you coming around with this energy?" And it was because I had gone walking earlier, and I'd visited every single church except for his. And I was like, I was just going to take pictures of this like stained glass. I just wanted to see the different architectures that the churches had, what types of churches were around. I'm very nosy about stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I always make these jokes like, I hope the doors don't burn down as I walk through, you know, because, you know, I'm all witchcrafty and stuff like that. But, you know, I have the deep connections with Jesus and such and all of that. So, you know, I had done all of that, and I went to all of them. And that was the one that was under construction on the outside and stuff like that. So I didn't go. And like the energy hit me, and I was like, oh my God, I made my friends sad. So the next day I went over to that church, and yeah, well, I had a really good time. I had like a bunch of just really great things happen to me between my walk from my house to the church. Like I got free music. I just there's so many beautiful moments and beautiful gifts along the way. So my point is that yeah, there are energetic beings and energies that come around when manipulations are happening to reality, because it's like, imagine angelic harmony, right? Ha, and like all of the chords are singing and everything is like, I don't know, this kind of frequency. It just sounds good to the ear. And then someone comes through and they start fucking with the energy. And it's like, it sounds like that all of a sudden. Like the angels are like, what the fuck's going on with my harmony? They're like, ooh, something's flat. They come in right away. Ooh, something's sharp. No, that's not my song. That's not mine. You know, so like there's a lot of that happens. And, that's why I'm always telling people, stop manipulating and stop trying to do other stuff. Like, you need consent. It's best to just ask the person. If it's something you want to know, then you need to be able to ask. If you don't feel comfortable asking, that's a sign. It's a sign of something. Why don't you feel comfortable asking? There are multiple things that you can dig into there, right? But that's why you don't necessarily want to do energy work on people who are alive. That's why when I read books, especially spiritual books and stuff like that, and the person is still alive, I try to get stuff that was written back in the 90s, stuff that they wrote a while ago, so that way I'm not digging into who they are now. Someone who's already dead has already lived their whole life. Okay. And I can, for the most part, like I can have there's a separation between me and them, and we're crossing over time for a reason. And you can analyze that a little bit better without kind of manipulating or sending energy projections towards them that are like harmful to them in real time now, because I'm interacting with like an out of time archetype of them to some degree. Anyways, there's a lot that goes to it. But the point that I'm making is that the illusion of time. We have out of time where shit's just a mess. There's no organization to this. You have your ability to quantum leap anywhere here. And then you have, these circles represent organized time, organized. Um, Oh, I sacrificed a page in my very nice look. This is how my journal looks usually. Okay, I'm sacrificing for this ugly shit. So be grateful. I'm just kidding. So okay, so we have organized time, right? And this is where everything is organized here. Okay, this is time. When it's organized, that's you organizing it. That's not. It's not really reality. That's you organizing all of this in your reality. So what I'm saying is cosmic time is a line. Okay? Cosmic time is a line. That's why you can use cosmic time. You can use these lines to go to other points in time in the out of time space. This is cosmic time. These lines are connecting. So cosmic time is linear. Okay, linear is something that we use to I should have looked up the name of that art. But what's linear is the way that we can ingest something. When you read a story, even if the story is told hopping around this, that, or the other, you're starting from the beginning and you're having a start of your journey, and then there's an end of the journey to the story. You start the story, stuff happens, and then the end. I don't care how the story is told, but it starts and it ends, right? When you're consuming it and then you stop consuming it. That is cosmic. It's a story that goes and it starts and it stops. It starts when you start, and then it stops when it hits something and new force needs to be applied. So that's like the physics, right? Straight. Then there is the there's the other time, the kind that's like consciousness, the kind that you organize it. And this is made up of memories. It's you doing this. If this was your life, right? Tesla's here. I'm going to put Doyle down here because I forgot about him. I'm going to put Michael here too. My little Saint Michael, because, I love me a little Saint Michael. Who am I also? I'm going to put some other family. Okay, I'm done. This is a circle in which organizes my timeline. All these people, all these little points and nodes are on my timeline. I organize them through the expression of my life. If you understand the expression of my life, you read my books. Oh, Shakespeare's here. Oh, how could I forget? Shakespeare's here. You read one of my books, you'll find him. Smash It is an Othello retelling with a comedic twist. And the reason why I felt so comfortable doing that was because the first time I heard Othello, that was when I first connected with Shakespeare, because I was like, this is clever, and he was like, she sees, and we were fanning over Othello, but not like over the work itself, but over the initial idea, the way that it's expressed, it's like being in a room with the artist and like you are a peer. So therefore you're peering at what you both are looking at. You're peering at the same thing. See, that's peer and peer. But anyways, peer as in like an equal, but we're an equal because we're looking at the same thing from the same vantage point. And in doing that, sometimes you look over and you see each other. We were acknowledging each other. So therefore, it's consent to kind of take the work and rework it, and how that comes through. So this is, if you look at my life, I'm full of all of these different dots and linear progressions, sure, but it's all organized through the expression of me. That all makes Francina Simone. All makes me. So it's all one sound, if that makes sense. So you can understand if you're over here like this and someone else is over here with the same thing and you're manipulating their thing, it's a huge no-no. That's why we don't, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that situation, because you're fucking with an organization that was already agreed to before this person was even born. So this is when people say we made soul contracts and this and that. Think about soul. And 22, how 22 in the Pixar's movie Soul, right? 22 exist, right? And had all these mentors. 22 had experienced so many different things in life without going out and living life. I want you to think about that movie. Go watch that movie again. But think about it instead that 22 is alive. That soul just refuses to go create. This is like, just imagine 22 is a kid. in a classroom who everybody knows that one kid who's so fucking clever, but they won't sit down and make something. They're so clever. They know this, they know that. Maybe they even learn how to be nice. Maybe some of them learned how to be mean. But either way, they all don't know how to sit down and create something. And so it's like, why? Because they're not inspired yet. They haven't found stillness, presence, a reason to speak, a reason to express, a reason to organize all that mentors, all that stuff. But see, think about your soul. Before you woke up and gained consciousness, you had all those mentors too. Who are they? Go look at your bookshelves. Go look at the movies you watch. Go look at the people you're around. Go look at the conversations. Look at your Twitter, not your Twitter feed. Look at your TikTok feed. Look at your Instagram feed. How many of them are humans who are alive today, who you're trying to that's manipulation of energy. Do you have consent to use them as a mentor? Some people do give consent, right? To differing levels. Educators give consent to differing levels. Some people are just on the internet to be themselves, and people look up to them as mentors, and they're like, I didn't ask for that because they didn't consent to it for whatever reason. And we have to be able to navigate that just as much as they navigate that, right? Or all the mentors that you have, are they a mixture of dead and alive? Do you have some dead people there? Ancestors, people who have passed that you care, all of that is ancestry. Your ancestry is more than just your pod family connection. By pod family, I just mean the original pod you were born in, you know what I mean? Because there's family that you choose, family that you create, but there are ancestors, they're cultural. My ancestors span so many different cultures simply because I accept an awful lot about who I am and where I've been, also who I've connected with. There's, here's a great example, because some people get confused between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. Somebody asked me earlier, do you do Vedic astrology? And my answer is not publicly. No, I don't do Vedic astrology, as in I don't practice that consistently. Why? Because I would have to understand so much culturally before I can put it into practice. So therefore I am a student of Vedic astrology, meaning I took the first step. The Bhagavad Gita, I can never remember off the top of my head, but, I read that because I connect an awful lot with Krishna, funny enough. And Krishna, funny enough, pops up in my life. I would tell you a very strange and funny story, but it's a little too personal for the whole internet. You know what I'm saying? Currently. One day I'll be able to tell people. But yeah, Krishna literally pops up in my life, like in strange fashions. I've had people do readings on me and they're like, there's an Indian man standing next to you. He's blue. And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck does that mean? I said that way back in the day. I was like, what does that mean? He's a guide. Okay. I didn't know. And then, I've had dreams, but then also I've had some very real physical manifestations where I'm just like, I hear you loud and clear. I hear you loud and clear. I'll pick up the buck again. So that's appreciation, where I'm a student of a thing. So therefore I do not put it into practice publicly. I am not an expert, nor am I a master. I am a student. I'm 22. I'm 22 and Krishna is the mentor. I'm 22. I am not out creating and expressing in the world this particular relationship. Does that make sense? Cultural appropriation is to take inspiration from something, and without having been the student, having sat and understand that the only time you have something to express about it is when it's yours. When it's yours, it will come through you. And it'll come through you in the most unique way. And when that happens, it's yours. Nobody else can take that from you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. People can have feelings about it. Some people will confuse cultural appreciation with appropriation all day. Some people won't. But either way, that's yours and you will know the difference. But when you take something because you like it and you also feel like you can make a business out of it, or you can exploit it in some way or form, that's cultural appropriation. Is when you're taking something and you are presenting yourself as the master when you know good and true that you haven't mastered shit. You're a student. A good sign of that is somebody who hides their master, somebody who doesn't like to talk about where they get stuff from and all of that kind of stuff. But that's neither here nor there. So that is letting go of the illusion of time. Time is an illusion. Is it just a linear thing? mathematical equations of tick, 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 boom? Or is it this amalgamation of your whole life experience? I mentioned the two Greek words that I don't know, first of all, so why did I mention them? I don't know the words, but there's two of them, and one is for time that happens, and the kind of time that we experience that is out of time, right? Let me, oh, that was a light. My light went off up there. Maybe that's a sign. Oh, this light is bright. Never mind. We're just going to have to be intimate now. Anyways, Cronus. I think so. Let me see. Greek. Oh, God. Greek. I'm not doing that here. Never mind. We're just going to have to go with the fact that there are two of them, and you guys can look that up on your own time. But the question is like, which one is real and how do you navigate, right? Like, how do you pick which one to live by? And the thing is just to acknowledge that both of them exist, that a time outside of time exists and time in a linear exists. Both of those things are happening to you at the same time. You do not need to be in control of either one, and you cannot be in control of either one. They both exist for you to experience. That's it. You are experiencing time. But you cannot control it. It is not a tangible thing. It is not something that proves anything. It is just there to be experienced so that your life can be organized in a certain way. I really do want to find, there's an artwork that I like to talk about as an example, but I don't know. I don't know what this art is called. But imagine, you have a bunch of imagine you have a structure, and when you look at it dead on, it looks like this. But when you turn into a side, right, it actually is it looks like this from the side. There's all sorts of shit in it going on. I have these things here. There's toothbrushes and Barbie heads and stuff like that. Just a bunch of junk, right? It's a bunch of junk. And when you look at it from the side, you're just like, oh my God. First of all, who the fuck is artistic enough to put a bunch of shit together, piles of trash, twine them together? And then from the front, it looks like this. That's time. Time cosmically comes at you, but from the side, it just looks like chaos. Chaos, 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 chaos. You will always experience your own as chaos, chaos. I will see you as this, something coming at me. You will experience me as this, but from the side, I'm chaos, chaos, chaos. like nothing is organized until I can look back on it. When I turn around and look back on it, then I can see myself. But am I seeing myself, or am I seeing the past iteration of me? So when you turn back and look at the past iteration of you with gratefulness, and you look forward to experiencing you with gratefulness, guess who's looking at you? And guess who's moving towards you? You're moving to yourself that is grateful, your higher self, this, that, and the other. I call it agape. I do that. I'm, in the course that we're doing right now at Midnight Scholar Society, it's creative entrepreneurship one. Somebody kind of recommended that we open up a creator entrepreneurship in the Discord. And so I put together a course, since it would only take 3 weeks. We only really have 3 weeks this month. Anyways, to kind of talk about it. And one of the aspects that I do is I teach people how to get into the grounding. It's meditation. I just call it agape because agape means unconditional love, like a love that you have with God, like an enlightenment, right? That energy that you experience, if you can meet yourself there, if you look for your higher self in that feeling, and your higher self always will look back at you with that feeling, because your higher self is grateful. Your higher self is successful. So of course they look back on the journey gratefully, right? So when you sit in that feeling and you sit with yourself, you are aligning yourself to the successful version of you. And so that meditation is called agape. You can join the Midnight Scholar Society at any point in time this month, and the classes are live, but they're also recorded, and the recordings are available to anybody who is a member for that full month. The recording links usually go down the next month. On the 1st is when I will put up the course and sell it, so then the links are gone. But as long as you're a member that month, you can get all the links. You get access to all the paid content on my Substack, and one of the posts for December is always it's a December course calendar. And in that course calendar has all the links that you need for all the classes and stuff. So yeah, it's really fun, especially if you're in the creative entrepreneurship. We talk about We talk about essentially the presence of now, but in a different way. But with entrepreneurship, you need to kind of declutter mentally, and you also have to like understand how emotional processing works when it comes to energy flow, things like that. And then we're going to talk about mentorship and stuff like that Saturday. Which again, I just told you guys about all sorts of mentors that you can have, right? Not all your mentors are going to be alive. Some of them are going to be dead. And trust me, the dead ones are way much better than the ones who are alive. The ones who are alive probably cost you money, first of all, because you're purchasing their time, you know. And we all know you only have so much. You only have so of this linear time. These might be your different. You live 1, 2, 3. Let's say you've only lived 4 different timelines. This is it. From here to here is about as long as you get on a whole lifetime. Here to here. And now you've reincarnated again, here to here. And now you reincarnate again, here to here. That's all you get. Time is short. You know what I'm saying? So when people are alive, that's another thing, is you have to exchange something. There's more of a sacrifice to be able to connect in real time, because it's in real time. To some degree, right? Like there is a level of effort that is applied. The dead ones, I'm telling you, they be giving stuff away, and it's free. I mean, as free as the time that you spend connecting with yourself and getting into that space, et cetera, which is why I do that. I mean, I'm way about that. Nothing is new under the sun. You know what I'm telling you? Be your own guru. You are your own guru. Exchange information with people that you find resonate with you, because then you can get information realized very quickly in contemporary ways. Sure. Not everybody can have Doyle, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as a mentor. You know what I mean? Like you have to be into like understand him culturally to be able to decode his messages and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff, right? So like, yeah, it takes time in a different way, but the dead ones are great. The dead mentors are great. So how should we best live? The top picture. Oh, how do you best live? So using the body as an anchor for presence. We're going to finish on that. This is going to tell you how to live in time in either way, how to like embody it, because you already are. That's the thing. So I'm going to finish up on that. I've alluded to it so many times, so this is a great thing. Using your body as an anchor for presence. When you are present and you were just happy. Oh man, this is going to get so ugly. I'm going to have to find a way to make this pretty later. When you are using your body as an anchor for presence, when you become present, you are doing this. Sing, 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 sing. And maybe this is a 10-minute meditation. All this is happening. You know what this looks like? Kind of like a brain. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness, is this your brain? Yes. And is this your other hemisphere? Yes. And is your brain just enjoying itself, spiraling and doing? Yes, your brain's making lots of connections, isn't it? Yes. Just let your brain do what it's doing. Just observe it. When your brain's going off, right? You're like meditating, so to speak. Your brain's making all these mental connections and pathways and stuff like that. Once it's done, then you want to get your happy little ass up and go create something. What did that mean to you? I'll give you an example. I just made a video about this. So earlier today, I was doing a meditation. A few different things happened to me. So how do I use my body as an anchor for presence? I'm going to tell you a story, and that's going to make so much more sense than anything else I can say. I woke up. Energy. Shit. The energy is horrific. It is December 27th, 2024. Do you know what's happening in the world right now? Denmark said it would purchase the United States, and I think they're serious. They said all they need is a little bit of education, a little bit of hygiene, fuck, a little bit of socializing. And I think we can save that dog. Oh, we are the strays. The energy is stank. Oh my God. So I'm waking up in this. Is this, how do you live life? How do you live life when the whole world is terrible, right? I don't like it. I want to live my own life. I want to have fun. I want to go outside and do cool things. But I think if I go outside, people are in murderous rage energy. And that doesn't mean that they're going to attack me. But do I want to interact with that? Thought hit me. Meet the day as you wish to meet it, not as it wishes to meet you. Oh, TikTok from yesterday. I heard this girl say that on TikTok. So what's happening here? Connections are being made. Yesterday, I consumed a TikTok in which someone mentioned this, and in the moment, I thought, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm also kind of scrolling a little doomsy right now. Oh man, yesterday at the evening, I was so tired, and I also ate some stuff that I probably should. I had mozzarella cheese sticks, like fried ones, and like fried chicken. I just didn't have enough. Anyways, my diet was kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like digesting stuff and it was not great. The energy's terrible. And I was just flicking through videos. What do they call that? Doom scrolling or something? You know what I mean? But my doom scroll is pretty hope-core-y, you know, lots of like high vibrational stuff. And sometimes you want to judge high vibrational stuff when you're really low vibrational. You know what I'm saying? You just be like, bitch, are you serious? This life is ugly as fuck. And you want me to be appreciative? Fuck you. But you know, I don't do that. I reserve that. I'm like, just because I feel bad, doesn't mean I need to project that onto others. You know what I'm saying? So we're just going to sit bad here and know that this won't last. So that TikTok came across and I was like, thanks, girly. I'll put that in my pocket for another time because right now, I mean, not you, but like the energy. You know what I'm saying? And then guess what happened to me in the morning when my mind was a bit clearer? Came back. Connection. The connection came back. So then I said, well, what does it mean for me to meet the day? Okay, that means that I will decide. And I said this to my partner. I turned over. I was like, the energy's dense, but fuck that. I'm going to live the day that I want to live. I don't care how dense it is outside. I don't care that everyone's depressed and morbidly like diabolical and this, that, and the other. I don't care. I'm going to make my inside nice, vibrant, and bright. Okay. So what does that look like? Well, first things first is I take care of myself. I take my little supplements, get some water. I got some tea, some melanin tea. I said, do I want to do a live? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to go feel good. Today's just a day. And I was like, I'm just going to play video games. Ooh, that's what I'm going to do. I sit down and I'm like, well, let me do my journaling first because that's a healthy thing. So I start journaling and, I just, and I was like, well, let me put on my headphones. I'm making good choices. Look at that. Because I decided that I would meet the day the way I wish to, not the way the energy wanted me to. So all of a sudden, habits that I do when I feel good are just the habits that I'm doing because I have feel good habits. It's just, did you choose to feel good today or did you choose to feel like shit today? Anchoring in the body for presence. I consciously want to anchor into my body, but I choose to do so in a way that feels good. So naturally, the habits and the connections that I'm making are setting me up for that. So I sit down and I start meditating. What did I write? I wrote something over here. Yeah, I wrote some stuff. Oh, I noticed that somebody had made a TikTok about the black, like in the black community, there are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And somebody mentioned me as being death in one of them. And I was like, I've been recognized. Let me chat GPT what that means though. Because I was like, what does it actually mean? And I asked like what planets would represent. I'm curious. I'm meditating. And in my journaling, I noticed something. I accepted the compliment, right? Which helps me really receive. Naturally, when people mention me and stuff, I go, oh, well, that's nice. And then I move on with my life because I like to be humble, right? So instead, this time I was like, no, let me take that in. But also, it doesn't need to go to our head. We can actually take it and be like, what does that actually mean? And it means that somebody is recognizing an energy on me. And then I was like, well, what planets does that represent? And I was shocked because we got Neptune and Saturn to represent the horseman that is death, right? And I was like, well, that's interesting. I would have thought it was Pluto. No, that was war. And so, is ChatGPT wrong or right? Doesn't really matter here. We're just meditating and having fun. This is my kind of fun. So, whatever your kind of fun is, just substitute. But I'm thinking because you're not. Yeah, it probably is the Alchemist thing, right? But I always associate Pluto as the Alchemist, which is what's crazy. So that's why I associate Pluto with death. But Cronus is the Reaper, which is death as well. Time. See what I'm saying? Anyways, so Neptune, also illusion and time. Time is an illusion. We're talking about all of this under time is an illusion. How insane is that? I love that connection. But anyways, so I'm looking at that and I'm grateful for it, right? And then the music's playing and I'm like, I'm not really feeling moved. I'm not feeling my enlightened existential bliss that I like. And I was like, shh. Let it just happen, So I'm journaling. And then, I'm kind of having these visualizations. Somebody asked previously, what does seeing a portal look like? And I was trying to think about that kind of to a degree because, I need to respond to them that, I don't necessarily see them. I just feel them. And then all of a sudden I just noticed as I was typing that the world just looked brighter, more beautiful. And I looked out my window. It had been raining earlier. Okay. It's been gray and ugly. You know, that white light that happens during winter? She just doesn't like it. I like yellow stuff. You know what I'm saying? The light was different. The clouds had parted and the sun graced me with its rays. And I was like, oh, hola. Another video came circling through my mind. Hold on. What do we call it? Connections. And I remember somebody talking about a Merkaba. When your energy is in alignment, I'm sitting in my little Buddha pose. When your energy is in alignment and you kind of like are aligned with yourself, your Merkaba energy can be seen from space, so to speak, right? And so I'm like, did I part the clouds? Oh, was it me? Was it my choice? Did I make the clouds go away? And so I'm sitting here. Most of you may or may not know, I study Japanese. I'm very much at elementary level with it. So like I was studying it early at the beginning of the year, this year, and then I had to stop, and then I came back to it. I got busy, and this time I was like, I got to find a different way to do this because I always go at it the same way, and I always like stop at the same place. And so I've been talking with ChatGPT about how to go about this, and I decided to go and learn it through the lens of spirituality, like my interest first. I always go no because it's way too complicated and deep. Like I'm not out here trying to talk like Japanese people from like 1692. You know what I'm saying? So I always just go no, but ChatGPT was like, dumb bitch, do it anyways. And I was like, okay, fine. So I got a book of haikus from Basho, who is Basho from 1692 or something like that. Anyway, so I've been learning about haikus and things like that. And so it just hit me. And I wrote this. The sun is coming out, period. I wonder, for me, I was journaling that. And I looked at it and I said, that looks like a haiku. I wonder if I could put that in Japanese as a haiku. I go to ChatGPT, it helps me, I read it, and I'm like, wow, the haiku that ChatGPT actually like translated really well. And not only that, but I was able to actually look at it and understand it. It didn't feel foreign to me. Gift number 2, the sun came out. 1, 2, is that I had a moment with something totally fucking unrelated to work, meditation, totally unrelated. I'm studying Japanese. If meditation and journaling is over here for me, right? Learning Japanese is somewhere over here for me. And I had a connection between those two spaces in my life, which means I'm building neural connections between my Japanese learning and my everyday life. And also I wrote a haiku in Japanese and it's pretty. And also I knew all the kanji so I could write it. Score. Okay. So then, it also, to make it matters that much deeper, the haiku in itself is, a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's like, it's a bridge. It's a way of decoding the unseen world and putting it into words. So I made art. I made my own art. Oh, hey, Japan. Not me. Hey, Japan. I missed a lovely day. Lovely. Am I going to Japan? Not anytime soon. I used to live there for quite some time. It was lovely. Love it. So I'm ever attached. But that being said, I just had a moment where I made art. And this all stemmed from me deciding to anchor into myself in a way that I choose. I choose to meet the day in the way that I want to. I said, and I said it with a lot of emphasis, okay? I'm having a good day today. Not because I'm going to force it. In fact, and here's the thing. Here's the key to a lot of it. So I just told you how that all happens in meditation. And then when I made a few videos and now I've been live since then. And it's been a good time. You know what I'm saying? I've been having fun. I hope you've been having fun. But, I just, and this was something that I needed to do. Part 2, put it up on the YouTube. I'm a month and something behind making this content. So 2 birds, 1 stone, you know what I'm saying? I'm having fun. I'm at work. Normally when I talk about work stuff, I'm always like, it's a Taurus in me. you need discipline and everything needs work to get done. Also me, I don't want to work. I just want to lay here and get paid to be pretty. And now I get to lay here and essentially just get paid to be pretty. But, because I'm doing the stuff that I like, which I think is beautiful. See what I'm saying? Perspective. But, what I'm getting at mostly is that I tried to anchor myself, but you anchor through stillness. The first thing I did is when I got up is I made a decision of how I was going to meet the day, what energy I was going to meet the day with, not what I was going to do, not what I was going to think, not what I was going to force myself to, but that I wanted to feel good about my day. And then I allowed it to happen. Whatever came up, I allowed it to happen. I said, I'm just going to play video games today. And then I sat my happy ass down at my desk and was like, and first we're going to journal. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, the energy that I'm meeting is good. So if something disrupts, I'm going to meet that with my good energy too. I'm not going to say, oh, there's a disruption to my joyous day, so fuck that, fuck this, got to get on with my joy. No. I'm just going to meet that. I'm going to meet whatever comes up with that joyous energy. And how many gifts I got. The sun came out for me, which I haven't seen in quite some time. And also I wrote a haiku about it. Absolutely unhinged crazy. I had ChatGPT help me with translation, which is, I think, use ChatGPT, people. Okay, please. It is bomb. And then I was able to catalog that, and I was able to have a moment. That's a huge gift for me. It might not seem big for other people, but that was very big for me. And then what else did I do? I don't know. I was here and I did some stuff. I did some other stuff that was fun. I don't know. But that's the point, is that I met the day. But the thing is stillness. First, you want to make a choice. You want to get still, and then you want to align yourself in that energy. So that just means to allow yourself to be that, to approach and respond to everything from that place, which means sometimes stuff is going to come up to you. Like, oh my God, my kids, he got a Harry Potter Lego set for Christmas, right? And it's a big one, right? So he's doing it in the living room. It's fine. Okay. Like, I like to do my arts and crafts projects all over the place in space, so they can too. And in my mind, okay, as community, we can use any space that we want, but when we're not using that space, we do have to put our things away, right? So I was like, I noticed he just left his Lego thing there, and he was on his computer playing a game, and I was like, I want to like put that away so that other people can walk there. And he was like, oh, you're just saying that because you're mad, projection. And, he was like, he was doing that. He likes to fucking fuck with me all the time. Oh, he's so cute. I love it. He's like, it's me. I see myself all the time. So he's got this little devilish smile on his face. And he's like, I think you're projecting. You just don't know how to have fun and to let loose and just be disorganized, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, no. And I explained the concept, right? And then, and then... Anyways, the point that I'm making is that I met that. Normally I could meet that and double down and be like, actually, okay, I need to make sure that as a young child, you understand community and you understand that this is unacceptable and blah, 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 and you're making a joke of it. You know what I mean? Which makes me wonder, do you really know it's important? And I don't see you getting up fast enough to clean up these fucking Legos. So like, do we need to have a talk? Like, I could have met it with that. You know what I'm saying? Or perspective shift. I laughed. I just reiterated. And then he ended up fucking up somebody else's time and space and had to get that lesson handed to him a second time in a different way. And I was like, I just looked over and I was like, sounds like I wasn't projecting, and just went back to my work. So it's like, as a parent, and for those of you who know, parenting can be very stressful, because how do you balance between having fun with your kids and also making sure that they know the lessons and things like that, because they are going to go out into the world, and like what they don't know does impact them in different ways, et cetera, et cetera. So it's difficult to balance those things. And so for me, usually that's a point of stress. You know what I'm saying? But I've learned to really let go of little things like that, and to just be like, I refuse to be stressed in that space. And so perspective shift does he need me to teach him that lesson or to model it? Because in those moments when I was talking to him about it, the second time I was like, you ever notice how when I'm doing arts and crafts, I put my stuff away? And that's because you guys can't have fun and play in the living room doing your things if I leave my things there. And then it kind of clicked, and he was like, oh, because he was having a hard time seeing that just because you're a kid and you use this place as a play place doesn't mean that adults don't play or use this thing as a place, because they're always cleaning up and not bothering you with their play things. You know what I mean? So it was just making that connection, and it was able to do it from a fun place and also not be that bothered. You see what I'm saying? So it's about like, I'm not meeting stress. I'm not avoiding stress. I'm just meeting it and saying I refuse to react with the energy of stress, but I'm going to respond from the energy I wish to bring to it. And that can come with a lot of hurdles and a lot of obstacles that are in your way that try to scare you and make you think that you need to respond from this emotional place. You have to hold on to this emotion. You have to follow your fears, because if you don't, bad things will happen. All of that stuff will come up, and you just have to be able to say, no, I choose how I respond. I choose where I come from, because my perspective matters too, and how I'm experiencing this life matters. And also, like, I'm going to be honest with y'all, life ain't that fucking deep. Like, it goes by in a blip of an eye. Old people tell you this all the time. You don't want to go with regrets, this, that, and the other. So you might as well and I say this to people, you might as well stand for something. Know what you stand for, and if it's worth, and if you're standing on somebody else to do it as well. When we know what we stand for, then we can actualize ourselves in that way. And I know for a lot of like, spiritual leaders and stuff tend to preach, a lot of spiritual leaders that are men preach from a masculine space of let go of your ego, let go of this, that, and the other. But, there's a lack of feminine energy in that space, which you need to have a sense of self. So whether you identify as a man or a woman, well, if you identify as a man or a woman, you are heavily gendered in your identification. You need to know the messages that you are receiving and how you need to integrate those things based on how you identify, right? So if you identify as a woman and you have listened to a lot of teachings from men, you have to understand that they do not have you in mind, that they will erase most of your experiences because they were never taught to include them in the beginning. Okay, that's just patriarchy. So therefore, they do not understand that when they say let go of ego, that they're actually talking about letting go of their patriarchal ties to ego, and they're trying to accept and to step into the realization of divine feminine energy, which inherently in patriarchy, women already have. Does that make sense? They have to learn how to be nice to people and how to live in a community and not be like brutes. And from their perspective, from like man patriarchal, this message needs to go out to those who are like me and who have my same life experiences. The people in those communities who take care of the sick, the poor, who give space and all this and that and have no boundaries are the women. And they're listening to these messages about letting go of their ego, when in actuality, they need to gain and build self, a sense of self. So that's if you identify heavily as one gender or the other. If you identify non-gender, or you identify as like you maybe a man, but you're like, I obviously am more feminine because I don't believe in that kind of patriarchy or masculinity, like whatever the fuck that, like they're saying masculinity is today, doesn't really, meld with me. Or you identify as a woman, but you're like, I feel like I'm always in more masculine spaces and I'm more comfortable in masculine places, yada, yada, yada. Usually what that's a sign of is you're somebody who knows how to move in and out of your divine feminine, exhale masculine energy. We both have both. We have both. We get to choose the archetypes that we express in a moment. Sometimes I express very feminine. Sometimes I express very masculine. Usually when I am doing client work with clients, my expression is like there's a high divine feminine going on, but you speak to the divine masculine to get the message, because there's a point of check and a balance. Does that make sense? So when my masculine energy comes out, I know that means something. I know that I know that deep inside here somewhere, there's a divine feminine version of me going, I don't know, I'm a little uncomfortable with this maybe. Or there's a divine feminine version of me going, I'm tapped into the all and the source and the knowing, and I'm highly, I'm one with all, this, that, and the other, which makes me is like, which means I can't really talk right now. I'm having a vision. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you dance with both, chances are you need both. You need to both let go of ego, but you need to know when you are in your masculine, you're more likely to be attached to ego. And when you are in your feminine energy, you more likely need to practice a sense of self. So when your more feminine self is out and you're not liking what you're experiencing, you may need to have more boundaries and you may need to practice more of a sense of self in that way. Like your masculine needs to come out more in that space and less of the feminine, which can feel confusing, upsetting, especially when you normally use your masculine to set boundaries. And you sometimes people have a really hard time. I've always worked best in masculine jobs, driving school, coach, technical. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Honestly, I noticed that with autism. There's usually a spectrum of one or the other. People will go into either highly empathetic spaces or highly masculine spaces because it's it's really easy to kind of act in those highly charged spaces because it's like there's more rigid rules there. And it's like I don't even it's hard to express and to explain because it's a place of both insanity, but also highly organized insanity. And people with late diagnosed autism usually work well in highly organized insanity because it's insane enough for you to blend in and people to not notice that you're capable of organizing everything and yada, yada, yada. So, so yeah, it's easy to engulf and mesh with your personality. Yeah. So when you are used to going back and forth, you will notice and you will nurture different aspects of yourself. There are going to be different versions of you when you were in feminine energy. And there's a lot of different versions of you when you're in masculine energy. And the ability to go back and forth, like you guys can probably notice, I go back and forth all the time. All the time. You know what I'm saying? The version of me that be cackling is not the same version that you're talking to right now. You know what I mean? And if you experience that and you experience talking with people, is serving feminine or masculine? It's both, technically. Masculine exists to serve physically, so you're serving out you're serving out in action when you're in masculine, but when you're in feminine, you are serving the whole collective. So think of a matriarchy where someone serves the whole collective by divvying out things to people, like delegating things to people to do so that they can serve the community by doing that individual task. So serving happens in both spaces. That's why Mercury rules over Virgo, which is a serving space in sixth house. It's it's Mercury, known, also think of Gemini as it's the two energies. Mercury and Virgo is also two energies. One is just hidden. When you are serving in a masculine way, your feminine aspects are usually hidden. And when you're serving in a feminine aspects, your masculine aspect is usually hidden when you're serving. Because when we serve, we're usually serving a role of some sort, which means we are only doing this thing, not expressing all aspects, if that makes sense. So if you're expressing a masculine role, you're not going to do the feminine role because then you're overstepping on whoever is supposed to be doing the feminine role. So think in terms of like a play. If a whole play is a whole body of work, there are many different people playing different parts for that whole body. If you were to play someone else's part, you're fucking up the play. But does that mean that you are not a whole body in your own right and self? You are still a whole body that is also made up of many different parts, yada, yada. So it's like a little Russian dolls everywhere. But yeah, so it's really important if you have masculine and feminine energy that you are just really accepting of all of the different ways in which you express. Learn why you express that way. Learn why you're creating that way. Learn why this version of you came up. Accept it, love it. So this comes back into stillness, right? We sit still enough, gateway to the divine. So then, when that masculine energy comes up, you can accept it. When that feminine energy comes up and wants to express its way a certain time, you can accept it. You let go of the illusion of time. What does it mean to let go of this or express this or that? When you try to pattern out in your head what everything's going to happen or how it should happen, let go of that. That's an illusion. You don't know how anything's going to happen and you don't know how things really pattern out. You only know how they have so far, but you have the choice in moments to make different decisions, and those different decisions really do matter. Intent really does matter. When you make a choice and you have intent, you will see and do something totally different than what you thought. So it just, I don't know how to explain that without going into like way deep detail. But the point is you need to let go of the illusion of time. And then we can anchor in our body using an emotion, right? Using not necessarily an emotion, but energy. So alchemy is the ability to take emotions and turn them into energy, and then to do something with that energy, to do something with it. Right now I'm using energy, right? The energy that I had earlier today, it was all crap. So I met it with a different energy. So the crappy world plus me, I'm going to meet you in a way that we alchemize a whole. And that has become this live, right? I'm able to organize all of this chaotic information in a way that serves me and others, right? So, that's anchoring it into the body and being present enough to recognize what's happening around me as it happens, to talk about it, to have language for it, to communicate it with others, to experience it for myself, to be able to create a memory for myself that I'll then reflect on to later. The same way them TikToks would come up, I was mentioning that, and they come up when you need them, which is why consumption is important. What you're consuming, pay attention to it. That stuff sits in your psyche and comes back up, whether you want it to or not. So it's better that when it comes up, it aids you in some type of way. So if you're consuming a lot of stuff that leaves you feeling worse off, you don't want that stuff constantly coming up in your psyche. If you're reading a lot of information or consuming a lot of people, like social activist movements have this in it, and it's important to mention. There's information where you're getting informed about stuff, and you can then learn and be X, Y, you know what to do. And some information is really dense and heavy. You know what I'm saying? And you have to care for that with sacred hands. And then some people are just complaining because they're miserable, because they're not seeing enough change in their own life. So they need to force other people to change so that they can see change in the world, because they're overwhelmed and they don't know what to do with all of the information that they've been consuming. These are social activists who have crash outs. They don't know what to do with all the information they're consuming because they're not actually making change in their own life and doing something with it. Otherwise, they'd just be informing people and they'd be able to do that. Or they may be overwhelmed. And anyways, the point that I'm making is in some way, shape, or form, they're overwhelmed. And so they're trying to force change on other people. So if you consume content, you have to make sure that you're consuming the stuff that's healthy, you're being informed, and it's clean energy, versus stuff where people are also trying to put onto others things that they need to do, because that unclean energy is going to come up just the same way the clean energy is going to come up. So in a moment in time where you're struggling with something, you may hear someone else's judgment that's really for them, just about them, but it's being applied to you right now. Just comes up in your mind. Oh, I knew it. Let's say your date goes bad and you've been listening to somebody who says that they're for women in liberation, but they consistently center men all the time. That's all they do, is center men. And so therefore they're going to consistently find problems and be miserable. Most of the time they're right about things, but they're going about it in the wrong way. So you go on a date, things go badly, and this person says, that's right, you're a dumb bitch for trusting me. Whoa, now you're a dumb bitch for trusting me. Just because you had a date, you tried something, and it didn't go that well. Reality is you did something, you didn't like it, and you get to choose not to do it again. But that judgment says you're a dumb bitch for having tried something to begin with. You have to be careful. I'm sorry, guys. You have to be careful, because sometimes you will confuse those two things. Someone warning me and now I'm an idiot, or were you applying information actually, and then you had a bad experience and you were like, I'm going to imply this information, and choose to walk away. You can choose to walk away, and then the next day you choose to have a new experience and it turns out really well. Or you can choose to walk away, judge yourself, never have new experiences, and then become bitter. There is a huge difference. So it's really important to know those, that kind of content that you're consuming. So when you use your body as an anchor, obviously your body, if you have a lot of trauma in your body, it's going to be harder to anchor into it, right? You're going to have more resistance. You're going to have more stress to go through. Obviously, I was holding a bit of stress with parenting, because on a day where I was like, I'm just going to feel good, the only stressful event that really came up was my kid being like, you're projecting. You just don't want me to live my best life with all these Legos in the middle of the living room, in front of the TV, between the TV and the couch where everyone walks. And I could have been it is a thing. I do like to be mindful of that as a parent, that I'm not like projecting old stuff onto kids, like, passing down ridiculous rules and stuff like that. They know that. They know that I'm very mindful of that. So they like to fuck with me sometimes, you know what I mean? And can I meet that with stress, or can I meet that with fun and being like, so it's a choice. Sometimes it can seem, for me, making that choice is not fun. Making that choice feels like I'm choosing to be an idiot instead of being real. Does that make sense? In the moment when I'm stressed, that choosing to go about it in a way that's fun feels like I am setting myself up for the kids to have to learn this lesson another way. They're not going to learn blah, 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 blah. And that would trigger me into staying in the stress. When in all actuality, in either way, I can either have fun in this moment and then my kid not learn the lesson and then fuck something up 2 seconds later. I don't know what happened, but like they left stuff out. Oh, it was that. Anyways, it's not even that important. But the point is that they ran into another issue where they didn't clean up the table. There were crumbs and stuff, and they were going to use their computers. And my partner's like, all those crumbs are going to get sucked right into your computer and then it's going to overheat and die. Do you want that to happen? And they were like, oh, and he's like, this is why it's important that when you're done eating, you clean up. And that's when I turned around and I was like, and so, but as I turned around, not only was he doing that, but then he went to go clean up the Legos, like in a more, like he had a haphazardly done it, and he decided to do it with a little bit more gusto, like with actual, because he learned the lesson. Did I need to teach the lesson twice? No, I just needed to mention it and just go about my life in my own way. And he's going to have to go and learn lessons his own way. So that was the learning experience for me of why it's important to choose the non-stressful route than to be stressful, because like at the end of the day, that's also his life. And also I'm not the only person in his community who's going to teach him lessons and stuff like that in a kind and caring manner. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of being a parent, is making sure the people in your kids' community can like teach lessons in kind and caring manners, even when they're frustrated, upset, angry, all that kind of stuff, right? That's part of creating a healthy community for kids and stuff like that. So, it's like that. The stressors that you meet and the resistance that you meet, like for me, I know I can tell you guys all of this and it sounds funny and cute, but also at the same time, in the moment, you don't know what she'd be saying up here. She'd be flashing pictures like, look at him. He's 30 now and he can't clean up after himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at him. He's destroying the lives of people around him because he doesn't, like all this stuff, and it's all your fault. And I'm like, that's happening to me in the moment. And I'm like, okay. I don't know who's telling me that or showing me that. I'm going to put that down and choose something different. That's really difficult. It's not easy in the moment, but it doesn't necessarily need to be hard either, as long as you know that like you get to choose. You get to choose. And if you get to choose in this moment, you also get to choose in every other moment that happens afterwards. Oh, it's skipping for you. I'm so sorry. I have no idea. It seemed, it's fine for me, but so that's not helpful. So anyways, that's it for now, using the body as an anchor into presence. Next time I come on, I'll finish up and do freedom from future anxiety and past regrets. That's huge. The joy of being and true happiness, conscious manifesting through presence. So we'll finish up on those 3 next time I do one of these. I'm going to try to do them before like TikTok apparently leaves. I don't know. They'll definitely be on YouTube. If we lose TikTok, I'll just do the lives on YouTube. I mean, it's not that big a deal. You know what I'm saying? TikTok's way easier because it's just nice. I like the crowd on TikTok, but YouTube's great too. So we're going to do that next time. So for anybody who came in the middle, power of now, this conversation about the power of now and some of the concepts that that are covered in the power of now, I'm covering them, discussing them in further depth and details in different ways and showing you practical examples of that. You can always catch this on YouTube. It's going to be up probably tomorrow. Something like that. Catch me on my newsletter. It's all in my bio, my newsletter. I have courses and stuff. I generally teach astrology, divination tools. I have a tarot course, and practical magic, things like that. I have a creative entrepreneurship class that we're finishing up this month. You can always do my class at the Midnight Scholar Society. That's the cheapest and the most best way to do it, because I treat the Midnight Scholar Society like not like guinea pigs, like I'm doing experiments, but like guinea pigs, as in like this is my first time talking about this concept and putting it into a course. I'm recording them, this, that, and the other. And then after that, they get packaged and they are courses that I can sell on my website. So in other words, you get it first there. And because it's first there, we're doing it weekly. Yeah, it's all live and stuff like that. I'm just like, this is happening by the way of nature. So if you're if you're subscribed, you get all of that there. But other than that, you can get it on the website. And sometimes I do flash sales. There's one on right now for the holidays. Ooh, I love being able to say that. For the holidays, I've got this sale going on. You know what I'm saying? Oh, how sweet she is. Yeah, but other than that, you know where to find me, somewhere on the internet. So that's it. I gotta go now. I need to, it's 5:55. I don't know what that means. Anybody who's into numerology. I just I just love time. I told you guys I love that sort of a thing. But anyways, I will see you guys somewhere out on the internet. Enjoy your day, and don't let the rain crowds get you down. The energy right now is wild. Of course, wild shit's happening. Don't get sucked into it. That doesn't mean to avoid it. It means to be conscious about it. Just be conscious. Meet it, but meet it the way that you choose to. Make it dance with you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to join the fairy ball like the ones that the fairies throw. Be like, I'm throwing the ball now, bitch. You want to dance? You got to dance my tunes. You know what I'm saying? And the universe will speak in kind. The universe is like, oh, okay, you like this music and you like this food and you like this type of company. Here you go, and then you're like, wow, that's all I had to do. And the universe is like, yeah, because you're a conscious creator. And that's just how we do. We just create together. And you're like, wow, the universe is actually really nice. And the universe is like, yeah, you were kind of a bitch before, but now you're nice too. Maybe that's just me. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. 212. Bye. Oh, wait, how do I get out of here? Okay, bye.